gentlemen, now, welcome to the Ariel Helwani Show!
Back in your life on this Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. Hello again, everyone. I sure hope you're doing well. It's great to be here on a Choo Choo Tuesday. We like to play two on Tuesdays, as you know by now. AH show, usual time, and then we go to Riyadh at 5 o'clock on the DAZN channel to check in with Ariel Oladipo. Oh my God, ahead of this massive card on Saturday in Riyadh. So we got a lot to discuss. Great show yesterday on the program as my Izzy Adesanya plastic cell falls. One of my favorites. Great show yesterday. Tremendous stuff from the likes of Keyshawn Davis in studio. If you have not seen that interview, I highly suggest it. A very emotional interview, a heart-wrenching interview, an honest interview, what this man has overcome and what he is doing in spite of what he has overcome and despite what he has overcome, and now becoming one of the faces of boxing and certainly American boxing, nothing short of amazing, and just 25 years young. So check that out. Dominic Cruz was fantastic as well. We had a great show yesterday, and we're going to have a great show today, my friends, because today on the program, we are going to check in with one of my favorite people in combat sports. I've talked about him a lot. He's been on the show in the past as well. His name is George Lockhart. If you are a hardcore MMA fan, you definitely know of George Lockhart because he has worked with the likes of Frankie Edgar, Conor McGregor, Holly Holm, Brian Stan, many others. If you're a boxing fan, you are familiar with him because he has worked with the likes of Badu Jack, Tyson Fury, but recently he has really focused on Joseph Parker. He has become supremely close to Joseph Parker. In fact, he essentially spends all of his time in New Zealand with Joseph Parker, who is, I think, maybe the nicest human being in all of combat sports, regardless of combat sport. And he is with him in Riyadh ahead of the massive showdown for the IBF heavyweight title against Daniel Dubois. He's a brilliant mind. He's a nutritionist. He's a coach, strength and conditioning trainer, former fighter as well. Just a brilliant, fascinating dude, a former Marine as well. George Lockhart will check in about an hour and a half to talk about the Joseph Parker fight, his connection with him, and just everything that he does. He's been on the show several times in the past, but it has been a while since we had him on, so I thought this would be a good time to have the great George Lockhart on, who has one of the most unique voices as well. He's very much talking like this when he speaks. It's great. Prior to that, we'll be joined by the killer gorilla himself, Jared Cannonier, who snapped his losing streak on Saturday. Brilliant win over Gregory Rodrigues, RoboCop. A little dicey to start off. Turned it around, got the stoppage. Brilliant elbows, brilliant stoppage. The man keeps on kicking, and I think is he 41 or is he 40 on the dot? He's 40 on the dot, turning 41 on the 16th of March. So in less than a month's time. A guy who has fought at light heavyweight, at middleweight, at heavyweight as well. Actually, I do believe, along with Conor McGregor, the only man to get a stoppage in 3 different weight classes in the UFC. McGregor 145, 150. Did he get a stoppage at 170? No. So what the hell am I thinking about? There's an interesting stat there regarding Jared Cannonier.
Cerrone?
What is it?
Donald Cerrone 170, no?
One of 2 fighters in UFC history to have KO. Oh, yes, Cerrone. Thank you, PT. I was thinking Cerrone. Yes, you're 100% right. One of 2 fighters in UFC history to have KO wins across 3 weight divisions, middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight. Conor did it 45, 55, and 70. So a pretty amazing stat there. And it looked like they were maybe trying to build RoboCop off his name. Killer Gorilla said, not today. Prior to that, we have promoted it as a mystery guest. You will soon understand why it is being promoted as such. That will be at 1:30. We invite all the guesses. We invite all the speculation. Who is our mystery guest? I'm not even sure if that silhouette is of said guest. It might be. Nevertheless, let us know in the chat, and certainly a thumbs up to the chat on this frigid Tuesday, a windy Tuesday here in New York City. Let us know who you're thinking, and in 25 minutes' time, we shall hopefully, inshallah, reveal said mystery guest. Before we get to all of that, and as you can see, a fun day planned. By the way, on the Ade show on DAZN at 5, we'll hear from Artur Beterbiev, Dimitri Bivol, Joseph Parker, and Daniel Dubois. So a super stacked day here around Uncrowned HQ. Before we get into all of that, at the end of yesterday's show, we were talking about this Four Nations face-off, this brilliant hockey tournament that the NHL has put together, Canada, USA, Finland, Sweden. And it's been incredible. The ratings have been phenomenal. 4 million watched Canada USA on Saturday on ABC. And I found out during the show, I didn't realize it was a day game on President's Day. Canada advances to the final, so we'll get Canada USA 2 on Thursday, which feels like the most anticipated meeting between the two countries since the 2010 gold medal game, which of course was won by Sidney Crosby's golden goal. It was amazing in Vancouver. And I started to think about this Four Nations idea and why it's so special. And then I started to think of MMA as well. And believe it or not, as I'm driving home, I started to think of the GFL, and I'll explain how this all comes together. I've been very critical of this idea of the Los Angeles team versus the Sao Paulo team versus the Dubai team versus the New York team. And especially now that we're seeing trades just happening willy-nilly to create, the best type of matchups and the best kind of cards. Well, then I'm thinking, what the hell is the point of all of this? And then I started thinking of the IFL, which had a similar format, the LA Vipers versus the New York Anacondas and the Iowa Hawkeyes or whatever the hell it was. And then I started thinking, like, maybe what we're missing is that it should be about the country. It should be country versus country, not fictitious team from X city with guys who have no connection to those cities. Maybe it should be country versus country. Maybe that's what we're missing. We don't get it certainly in the Olympics. We do get it in the IMAF, which is going on right now in Europe. But could you imagine if there was a Four Nations type tournament in MMA? And so I wanted to have a little bit of fun with this with the guys. Didn't really tell them about it beforehand. And I started to think, okay, so obviously the US would be one of the countries. Would Canada make the cut? Don't think so, pains me to say. Russia, I think, makes the cut.
1,000%.
Brazil?
1,000%.
And then the last one that I had was like Team Oceania, like Australia, New Zealand. Am I missing someone? Should it be Team UK? What do you guys think?
Team UK have a really good team at the moment.
Yeah.
And if we're trying to drag some eyeballs, Tom Aspinall, Paddy Pimblett, Leon Edwards.
Okay. So let's have some fun here. How many different weight classes? Are we going 5-on-5? Are we going, because you can't just have, there has to be connective tissue, right? If there's a middleweight here, there has to be a middleweight here, there has to be a middleweight here. It can't just be middleweight, featherweight, flyweight. You know what I mean? And I feel like,
yeah, so you do 5 matchups. Obviously, the winner of the 3
2 cards, 5 main cards, and then you have a final. And so are we okay? So this is good. So do we all agree on the U.S.?
Yeah.
Yes.
U.S. is in.
Do we agree on Russia?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now the general sentiment seems to be these days: Olympics, World Cup, Four Nations. Russia isn't invited to the dance.
Well, they're invited to this dance.
This dance, okay. No politics here.
They have way too many high-level fighters.
Okay, no politics here. Russia's invited. Brazil?
Yes.
I think so.
I wonder.
Even if it's based off the legacy.
They deserve it, yeah.
It
absolutely.
has to be.
Okay. And
Prestige.
is it okay? So Pete brought up UK, which credit to you, bias aside, I appreciate that from an Irishman.
And look,
Yeah.
probably be hated all over the country after this, but I think they deserve it, guys.
No,
Listen, they can't hate Batman. You're their protector. Come on.
I haven't protected anyone in England though. I just put them in
Oceania,
danger.
ANZAC, or England.
Who would be included in? Would it just be Australia and New Zealand in the Oceania?
Why are we including like
ANZAC's kind of
Samoa
thing,
and
right?
stuff? I was thinking Australia.
I'm not familiar with the rigid lines of Oceania.
I was considering Australia, New Zealand.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that would be huge. Yeah.
I kind of feel like okay. So, all right, this is fun.
Oh, you
Pick
could
the
also
divisions
also have Dakota Ditcheva on a UK team as well.
Yeah, but how are you going to match
now
her with other...
we're picking 4 out of the 5 fights. We have to have 4 women. Like there's no great Russian women.
Is there a thought to expand it to 6 teams? Do we do 6 teams?
Wow, no.
No, we're doing 4 nations face off here. It's got to be semi, and then a final. Okay, so I like this.
I
like
don't know
this.
who misses the cut here.
Okay, we're gonna
They're in.
I'm keeping them to the end. Okay, so Islam is in, right? I'm writing
Wait,
this down.
so are we? So
But we have to pick a division.
who's
We have to
in?
pick
Is
divisions
UK
first.
in or is Australia and New Zealand in?
I'm keeping that for the end. I'm gonna. You'll see why.
Okay.
Lightweight is definitely in.
So because Islam is in, that means lightweight is in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now
Heavyweight is in 100,000%. Heavyweight.
heavyweight is in. Okay.
John Jones, Thomas.
Yeah.
Mention.
Heavyweight is in. I like this.
Pereira, if we could do
Brazil.
Pereira at heavyweight for Brazil.
Okay, I
Yeah.
like this. Who is?
I feel like welterweight is probably a decent one.
I was thinking welterweight.
Bantamweight.
Some guys may have to fight up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
So you like
That's the fun of it. That's the fun of the Four Nations MMA.
I think bantamweight is a good shout. I think we're gonna have a lot of good things in bantamweight.
All right, so 135, 155,
170,
heavyweight.
265. Yeah.
170, and heavyweight.
It's four.
That's four.
So we need 5, right?
Yeah.
No love to the women, eh?
That was Ariel.
I don't think
didn't
there's
say
enough.
that,
I don't think there's
I know.
enough. Give me a good Russian woman. There aren't any good Russian women right now.
Can we throw Kyrgyzstan into the region there?
We got lightweight,
Give
we got
Valentina-
heavyweight, we got bantamweight, we got 170. It's down to featherweight, middleweight,
feel-
or light heavyweight.
Featherweight is between bantamweight and lightweight. Just go up or down. You know what I mean? Like if we want them in there, they got to go up or down.
I say we go middle.
I could be convinced.
Okay, we'll start with lightweight. We'll
Yes.
start with lightweight.
Yeah.
Islam is Team Russia.
Yeah.
Okay. As far as America is concerned,
The highest, like Chandler. Who's
okay, we'll go to Brazil. Charles.
Yeah,
Charles.
for sure.
And then our choices for America is like
yeah.
Justin
Poirier.
Poirier,
Justin Poirier.
Holloway.
Holloway.
Yeah.
Oh, all the way up to 55.
Nah,
Nice, I like
we'll
that.
keep. Maybe we do. Okay, I say Poirier.
I say Poirier as well.
Okay, so Islam, DP.
Man, it does feel weird boxing out Mr. America Michael Chandler though of this net.
I mean, even Gaethje had the custom American flag shorts at UFC 300.
Michael Chandler.
Now you're making me feel
bad.
bad. Okay. We did Russia, USA. Okay, Brazil is Charles,
Yeah.
and we have to make
Yeah.
a call on who the fourth country is.
Paddy Pimblett, UK.
Okay. All right. Patty Pimblett
Okay,
is
so
UK or Dan
Anzac
Hooker
is
is
because
Oceania.
you could go
Oh, yeah.
Bulk up to
Volk
155.
up to 155 or Dan Hooker for the Anzac region.
Yeah, they have some good people there to throw in. don't
Lightweight,
they?
Steve.
I don't-
Lightweight isn't where we're going to struggle, I don't think.
Like, I mean, if we're
I-
talking about higher rankings, they knock Paddy out of
I
out of
cannot-
it completely.
I'm going.
We
The
can't
Anzac
do
space.
heavyweight and not have Tom Aspinall. I feel like UK has to be in.
Okay, all right, it's UK. So
And Paddy adds intrigue.
I
You know what
agree.
I mean?
Patty makes this fun.
okay, so Patty. Okay, so we have our lightweight bracket set. It's Islam, Russia, DP, USA, Charles, Brazil, Patty, UK.
Man, that is a beast of a fucking.
That'd be a lot of fun.
That is
Lightweight,
so
the best
good.
as always.
Okay. We move on now to bantamweight.
We're going to struggle here, boys.
You think so?
Yeah, like the bantamweight UK guy is going to be
Nah.
like dangerous Davy Grant.
Okay, USA.
Dangerous Davy Grant's on just off coming off a win though.
By the way,
He's-
USA
All right, he's coming off a win, but now we're going to match him up with Sugar Sean O'Malley.
Is USA Sugar or is it
You're
Corey
right.
Sanhagen?
Sugar.
Sugar.
I think it's Sugar. Too good for the global scene.
Okay, Sugar USA
My vote, Piotr for Russia.
as
Oh,
opposed
that's a
to
great- yeah.
Umar.
like it. Go to the
Jan's
former
more
champ.
battle hardened. Yeah.
By the way, I guess Aljo's no longer. Yeah. Okay.
Aljo's at 45.
Okay. So Russia
He
is.
could come down if we wanted to put him in, but I feel like Sugar's good there.
Well, what are we doing as far as Brazil is concerned? Oh,
Figgy
Figgy.
or Aldo.
Figgy.
All right, Figgy's in.
Nah, really?
Yeah. Aldo's a little bit older.
I feel like
Figgy.
Figgy's actually going to.
Wow, this is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's better. He's better for the tournament. You're dead right. Yeah, the Figgy can fight more. I think.
Okay,
Make the weight more.
Figgy,
Easy.
Brazil, and now what are we doing about the UK situation?
It's Davy Grant.
Can I throw?
It's
Or we can
legit.
put in Laurent. We can put in Lanair Kavanagh moving up from flyweight to compete at.
Can I throw a curveball? Can I throw a
Murphy cuts to
crazy
135?
curveball your way?
Yeah, Murphy
it.
would have to cut off a leg. to
Murphy's
make-
cutting.
What
That's
about Makayev moving up? Who does he rep?
Okay, I like that.
Who does he rep?
Okay, so he could get in.
Well, he's
repping
represented
UK.
England.
Yeah, that's what I'm
He's
saying.
represented
repping
England
UK.
for a long
Do you
time.
put
Yeah.
Mikhaev there?
Could we send Nathaniel
Okay.
Wood back down? Could we
No.
do that?
I like this Mikhaev rep.
Jack Shore out of retirement.
Yes, I
He
love
can beat
that.
Mikhaev gets massive fights too. I like this.
Okay,
I
Mikhaev
like that.
is at is UK 135.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
I like this.
Okay.
That's a
Bending
great
rules
show.
is
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
That's a good call by you, Ariel.
all right. Thank you. All right, now we're gonna go to 170.
Okay.
170. I gotta admit, how much fun would this
I'm
be?
buzzing. I'm
okay.
fucking buzzing. It's not even happening.
Who's I know. Who's our UK representative for 170? Is it Leon?
Yeah.
Leon.
You would think has to be Leon.
Yep.
Not Ian. No, fuck. How did I say that?
Wow.
Wow.
You said that. Not me. That wasn't
He
me.
didn't say it.
No, because he lives in London.
Doesn't matter where he
don't.
lives.
All right. Okay.
He said it, not me, everyone.
Yeah, no, that was on me. Okay.
Oh, I can't believe that.
Brazil Gilbert?
Yeah, it's probably
Yeah.
the best you're gonna get.
What's
Or
wrong
you
with
could,
that?
or
That's
you
good.
could, if you really wanted to have some fun, the up and coming, you do Pratchess.
Pratchess. Yeah, I like that. I
You know
like
what?
Pratchess
I like
in
that
there.
better.
Yeah,
I like that
that's-
better.
I like
All right,
Pratchess
that's
in
the
there.
move. That's the
Pratchess
move.
repping at welterweight.
What are we doing about Russia?
Yeah, I mean, that's the
Islam
thing.
competes at 172. He is
Islam
coming.
does
No.
both.
Renat Fakhretdinov.
Habib out at retirement, 170.
Okay, I like that. Now we're
No,
talking.
we can't get crazy here.
Okay, what if we did this?
Fakhretdinov.
What if- Is this UFC only?
No.
No,
What if Usman was
Hmm.
55,
Oh,
and then you push Islam up to 170?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the
I like that.
move.
I like
Oh,
that.
this is the move.
I like
Oh my
that.
God.
Oh my
Who's
God.
stealing our idea? Okay. Oh, this
Oh
is
my
a great call.
Let's go.
Islam.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay, Islam, Russia,
Bro,
and then
Yeah, fucking
USA.
kill everyone.
USA. What are we doing about the USA? Kamaru?
Remember the name.
Sean Brady.
Nah. Who's he repping? Who's Bilal repping? You got to pick a lane, bro. You got to pick.
Chicago. He's from America.
From Chicago.
Oh yeah, he's okay. All right.
Yeah, Bilal's in. Yeah, sorry, shit.
Bilal
yeah.
or
Brady, Buckley, Colby.
Nah, hell no, not Kobe.
It's got to be the champ. It's
yeah,
gotta be the champ.
I say Bilal, but as a backup, I would say Buckley is the two.
Buckley. Really?
Oh, Brady.
Over Brady? Over your boy?
Boy,
This is just some
boy,
mind
that's his
games.
rival.
He's
Boy.
playing mind
that's
games.
my
yeah.
number one rival right there.
Jeez. All right. All right. Bilal, USA. Now, we go to light heavyweight. Now, by the way,
Wait, but didn't Bilal
Light
say he
heavyweight.
wouldn't
He
fight?
said heavyweight.
no, I
He
said
he
heavyweight.
wouldn't
Sorry.
fight Islam.
Well, you do it for the four nations.
This is
the
our problem. Bilal
Does he
said
do it for
wouldn't
the four
fight Islam.
nations?
Does he
Nah,
have to
Bilal's
do
too
it?
many issues. Too much politics with Bilal. Too many issues. He's out. Brady's in.
Brady said.
I don't. All right, so we got Brady as our. Yeah, the
What about Kamaru?
The Usman
What's
shout
wrong with
isn't horrible
Kamaru?
either.
Yeah,
You want to go freaking the Nigerian Nightmare Kamaru?
Why not?
I mean, he also reps America as well.
Okay.
I do feel like we have some like one young.
Does
blood in
Kamaru
some
fight
of these.
Islam? I don't know.
I think he would. But
This is the
I'm
four
okay with
nations,
Brady.
man.
I'm
Come
okay
on.
with Brady. I'm okay with Brady.
You put it all on the line.
I'm going with our boy Brady.
Let's go. With
I'm
Brady.
going with our. Okay. Now, do you guys like heavyweight over light heavyweight or middleweight? Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
you got to
Wait,
have
what?
heavyweight.
Okay.
Heavyweight. This is the only one that
You're right,
matters.
you're right.
This is the fight we want.
This is
Oh,
the
Yes, yes,
only
yes, yes,
one
yes,
that
yes, yes.
matters.
My bad. I was just asking. Aspinall, UK.
Wow, yeah,
Yeah.
this is actually
Yes.
great.
Jones?
Aspinall, Jones, America,
Jones.
and then you do Volkov, Russia, and you do Jailton, Brazil.
Wow, you had it all already.
Sorted.
Done.
No blades, America.
No, John Jones.
Hang on, what do we
Jones, are
do?
you
What do we do
crazy?
again? GC, say it again. Say it again.
John
What is
Jones,
it?
America.
Yeah.
Tom Aspinall, UK. Jailton Almeida, Brazil. Volkov, Russia.
Oh, are we doing 205 as well?
No.
What?
Well, then put Pereira in there. Put Pereira in there.
Oh, that's right. You
you're
did
saying
say that. You did
Pereira
say that.
over
Yeah,
Yes,
Jailton.
Almeida.
Alex,
Great
move
call.
Alex,
Oh
move
my
Alex. Great call,
God!
Alex.
call,
For
great
the
call,
love
great
of
call.
country,
Great call.
Move Alex.
Brazil is the best one.
We are
Sorry,
fucking killing this today, boys.
Brazil is the best
Is that
one.
all five?
I feel like Russia's.
Did we do all five?
No, that was four. That's
okay.
four,
We need a
5
fourth
each.
weight class?
No, we're
Fifth
good.
weight class. A fifth
We
weight.
need one more weight class, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Do we do an absolute division? Well, no. Heavyweight lads are going to win. All right.
Yeah, I don't want to see Tom versus
Does it?
some
Yeah. it doesn't-
bantamweight.
I'm looking here.
Piotr Jan versus
By
Tom
the way,
Aspinall.
just for shits and giggles, let's see one women's weight class.
Yeah, I
You
think
guys
if
say
you do, like,
you guys say
25?
125. So okay, look, we've got Dakota for UK.
Yeah. It's going to be a hell of a cut for Yana Kuntsakaya. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Blanchfield?
I was going to say, do we do North America and we let Jasmine slip in?
No, we can't do it. We can't do it.
Jazz Divisius.
No,
Yeah, I know. I guess for the women's, you could have, if you wanted to, change the regions up. Like Valentina comes from that region, she could represent.
How could we put a name on that whole?
Dakota.
I'm adding middleweight.
Okay.
USA Strickland.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Brazil Caio.
Yep. Love that. I guess you could do Paolo, but I like Caio there.
Costa.
Yeah.
Hamzat's obviously in there.
Hamzat Russia. Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then UK.
Darren Till is out of retirement. He's back.
Let me just make sure I'm not missing anyone. Ooh, what about Bo Nickel?
Bo Nickel.
Fuck, you know what? I'm putting Bo in there.
All right, Bo America, Hamzat for Russia.
Yeah, that's way better.
Those are sick.
Yes.
Yes.
But who's the UK?
That's a fucking...
Darren Till, no?
Darren Till.
Let's just
Everyone stop chatting shit.
Till UK, and then Brazil is Caio.
Yo, Michael Page at middleweight for the UK.
Yeah, I like that.
Because he just won a fight.
Yeah, get rid of Till. Till, you're out. Sorry, bro. Okay, guys, this is unbelievable. Now, just for fun, can we just look at who would have been in Team Anzac?
Yeah.
Just for fun.
Izzy for middleweight.
Izzy for middleweight, no brainer.
Yeah.
Jack Della for 170.
Yeah.
My vote is
Volk for 155.
All right, Volk for 155.
Or Hooker.
Anthony Perosh out of retirement for heavyweight.
Oh no.
Hooker's a great one.
Can our boy Ulberg go up to heavyweight?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Ulberg goes
If
up there.
Barrera is going up, then we can shove.
And then what's the last one? Bantamweight, right?
Yeah, Bantam.
Can our boy Kai Kara go up?
Or
Kaikara or Steve Ursak.
Ursek's kind of tall.
So what do you like better? You like that better? You like that better than anything we have?
We can't miss out on Tom.
Yeah.
And
all right, sorry, Anzac.
Paddy, Makayev, and
Paddy,
Page.
yeah.
That's a good team.
And we've kept this clean. It's
And
no
Leon.
like two nations together, guys. These are okay. So these are our guys. At 170 pounds, we have Kamaru Usman representing.
I thought we did Brady.
How did we get to Usman?
I screwed up. I know. I read Usman here. I forgot the right one. At 155 pounds, we're at Usman Nurmagomedov representing Russia, Dustin Poirier representing the USA, Charles Oliveira representing Brazil, and Paddy Pimblett representing the UK. Now, should this be Great Britain? Because in the Olympics they say Great Britain.
Sure, call it Great Britain.
Great Britain, Team GB. Okay. At 135 pounds, we have Suga representing the US, Pyotr Yan representing Russia, Figueiredo representing Brazil, and Mohamed Mokaev moving up to 135 representing his adopted home country of Great
Might be
Britain.
the best division. That is crazy.
At 170 pounds, we have Leon Edwards representing the Team GB, Carlos Prates representing Brazil,
That's
the heavyweight pizza. Come on.
Islam Makhachev representing Russia, Sean Brady representing the US. And then at 185, we have Bo Nickel representing the US, Hamza Chimaev representing Russia, Michael Venom Page representing the UK, and Caio Bajalio representing Brazil. Love it. And then heavyweight, Tommy Aspinall, UK, Jones, USA, Volkov, Russia, Perhera against for Brazil. Wow.
That heavyweight one would be pay-per-view worthy.
All right, so how do we make
crazy?
How do we make the matchups? Just basically by world ranking?
I say no. This is what you do. Bracket 1 is USA Russia. You got to capitalize on the history, and then bracket 2 is UK Brazil. Semifinal, meaning the final. Which means, my friends, that on night 1 of the Four Nations MMA face-off, you are getting Sean O'Malley
versus Mokaev
versus Muhammad. Oh no, USA Brazil. Brazil.
Oh, I thought you just
So
said.
you said Russia.
Yeah, you said USA Russia.
Sorry, USA Russia. So Sean O'Malley. No, Mokaev is UK.
Oh yeah.
Sean O'Malley. I'm trying to get
Yeah.
Sean O'Malley versus Peter Yan.
We're going O'Malley Yan.
Yes.
Okay.
You are getting Figueiredo versus Mokaev
Continue.
on the other side, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so confused.
Right?
Yeah, that's the other bracket.
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the other side of the bracket. Okay, let me just stick with night 1. I'm sorry. You're getting Suga versus Yan.
Correct.
You're getting DP versus Usman Nurmagomedov.
Yep.
You're getting Sean Brady versus Islam Makhachev. You're
Holy
getting
shit.
John Jones versus Volkov.
Sick.
So
Oh,
should we
this is great.
should we
No, that's
okay,
great.
Okay, fine.
That's great.
And then you're getting Bo Nickel versus Khamzat.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. That's great.
Is anyone writing this down? Because I feel
I'm
like
writing it all down.
Okay. Then on the opposite end, night 2, you're getting Oliveira versus Patty, Makayev versus Figgy, Leon versus Praches, Aspinall versus Tejeda, and then MVP versus Caio Bajalio. I mean, this is some kind of tournament. Is the chat loving this?
All right, so here's
Absolutely.
here's what we have. The matchups to start it off would be at bantamweight O'Malley, Yan, Figgy, Makhayev. 155 Poirier versus Usman or Magomedov. Oliveira versus Patty. 170 Brady versus Islam. Leon versus Praches. 185 Nickel versus Hamzat. MVP versus Bajalio. And then heavyweight Jones versus Volkov. Aspinall versus Pereira.
Sick. And then, okay, here's
How's
the
the
thing.
scoring system work?
No, it's just
move on?
Win.
yeah, win
Okay.
in advance.
Okay, so you win in advance, and then whoever gets the 3 of the 5, it's impossible to get a draw.
Right?
Whoever gets the 3 of the 5 advances, and then same thing for the final round as well. What do we do in the case of a no contest?
Ah, fuck. Stop throwing these
These
curveballs.
people in reserves.
We need some sort of tie breaks. Oh yeah, do we have reserves?
We
By the
need
way,
reserves.
why can't there be a sudden death round?
What if there's just a no contest though, an eye poke, and the guy can't see?
Yeah, or if you get hurt and can't continue,
Yeah,
we need a backup.
Can we go to like who was up? I mean, I guess if it's like 10 seconds into the fight, there's a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We need a tiebreaker. We need something. This would be crazy.
If the fighter can't continue, does the other guy just go in his place? Nah, you
Yeah,
can't do
sorry.
that.
No, sorry, bro. You're out.
Just go. People going in, just poking
Yeah.
each other in the eye. What the fuck?
You're out. Here's the
Oh,
thing.
God.
How long in between cards? Meaning
Not long.
you have night 1, night 2. When do the finals
Yeah.
happen? 3 to 4 months later?
Yeah, 6 months later.
Yeah.
Fuck, it would be amazing. Everyone
could
has to
be-
commit. Everyone has to commit. I mean, by the way, every single one of these fighters are UFC fighters. The UFC
That's
can
what I was
actually
just
pull
saying,
this
yeah.
off.
Except for Usman.
Nah, that's right. Well, he'll soon be a UFC fighter. By the way, should we bounce Usman to make this clean UFC?
No, hell no.
Okay, all right, all right. I'm just saying. The bottom line is, look how much fun this is, and I feel like fans of those nations would get so behind it. If you're from New York, as much as we joke about the New York merch, the Dubai merch, the Sao Paulo merch, no one's getting behind it from those cities. But I feel like once you start representing the flag in the country, it changes everything. And so maybe the thesis here is GFL should change it to country as opposed to city. Because they could easily do it. They could turn Sao Paulo into Brazil. They could turn Dubai into UAE. They could turn New York into America. I guess they have too much in America. But they could have easily figured this out. I mean, the whole thing was kind of...
God, this really would be so great. I wonder what the lines
how
would be
about,
on
like-
some of these. This is
How
pretty
about
cool.
like
Yes. Thanks, Frank.
How about a
Would
Tom versus John potential heavyweight final on the final
my God.
day?
Yes,
I mean,
on the
what-
final fight. Say
on.
like we get say it's yeah.
It all... By the way, it all culminates with Tom versus John.
Okay, so what's
As the
actually
final
crazy?
fight.
It might not be though.
Why?
That
Yeah.
like John and Tom could both win, but it could end up being like a Brazil versus Russia final still.
Yeah.
Right, because if the teams
Yeah,
don't perform, that'd be a shame.
that'd be
No, but then wouldn't we
Well, I
still
think
get
that-
it as like the secondary round, like as the bronze winner or whatever?
No, they're not going to do a bronze one.
yeah, it's for
John
fighting.
versus
No, it's
Tom,
not
just for
gonna
the hell of
happen.
it.
No shot. No
By the
shot.
way, this is
So
why...
I think at that point you got to do America versus UK in the open.
Why instead of like GFL doing this? Why didn't the UFC just fucking do something like this? Like, don't put like.
Well,
what do you do with
technically, the
champions?
UFC doesn't need to do it, but I guess the point is, I actually think if GFL leaned into country as opposed to city, more people would get behind it.
But we're excited about the fights.
No, I know, but I mean, you can have
Like-
like Chris Weidman. I just think these fictitious teams that they're coming up with don't make sense. Ultimately, though, we are making the mistake that I always say I hate that when these tournaments make this mistake, which is like you have the money fight in John versus Tom. You can't tempt fate. You can't risk it by putting them on the opposite ends of the bracket. But I
But
think in
this
this
is a
case
bit
you
of-
have to.
If this is on the air, by the way, if
Hello.
you're starting with UK Brazil, you're still getting Tom versus Alex, which is
Yeah,
just
you're right.
incredible.
Yeah, it is kind of incredible. But
I'm actually.
and by the way,
it feels like-
you're 100% right on there, Jordan. Thank you for that, because if Alex wins, you're still getting the mega Alex versus John fight, which it's still up in the air.
You
Which is bigger?
You could get Pereira versus Volkov in the final. I
Well,
mean,
that's
we got
not
a tough
terrible.
we got a tough road to get past Russia. I mean, Bo Nickel versus Hamzat. Hamzat will be the favorite in that one. Brady versus Islam. Islam will be the favorite in that one. Poirier Usman. That one could be interesting. O'Malley versus Piotr Yan. You might as well flip a coin, especially if it goes 5 rounds. I mean, Jones versus Volkov. I like Jones there, but I mean, we got to win 3 of those matchups to get to.
I love
to round
this.
2.
National pride.
It's
I
not
love
easy.
It.
Hell yeah, we.
Do you
Yeah.
guys think this would be a smashing success?
Oh, stop, man! It's fucking unbelievable.
Yes, there it is.
Yeah,
There it
Ireland ain't
is.
gonna go near for a while.
I'll be the biggest John Jones fan on earth.
Oh my god! People would show up with their flags and
Yeah,
shit.
I'll be forced to cheer for John Jones against Tom Aspinall.
Oh my god! Don't tell Tommy that.
I wonder if that would turn
The Four
Ireland
Nations,
against
Tom.
Tom
I'm
Aspinall.
sorry.
Tommy,
Four
by the way,
Nations,
Tommy's
Tommy.
watching right now, and he's probably freaking devastated by this.
No. It's the Four
Revelation.
Nations. He gets it.
I mean,
for
Ireland
pride
will
and
have
country.
to turn on Tom. If he's representing the UK, they'll just cheer for anyone.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's going to be John Jones' biggest fan when the Four Nations
Leon's under the
final
bus.
hits.
They're all fucking out of here. Yeah, no Irish fans for any of these guys if this happens, but it's amazing.
All right. Well, let us know in the chat what you think. Let us know who you think has the best squad. Perhaps we could put it in there for you guys to dissect, to chew on, and we can revisit at the end of the day. Coming up in about an hour's time, we'll be joined by George Lockhart over in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. He is there with the great Joseph Parker ahead of his massive fight against Daniel Dubois this weekend. Prior to that, we'll be joined by Jared Cannonier, who had a gigantic win on Saturday over Gregory Rodrigues. But my friends, it is now time for our first guest of the day, who happens to be our mystery guest. Yes, you don't know who it is. No one knows who it is except for the people working on this program. But without further ado, let us say hello to the man who will be joining us first on today's lovely program. He is a former EFC double champion. That's at middleweight and welterweight. He's a former KSW welterweight champion, and he is the current reigning, defending UFC middleweight champion. He's the pride of South Africa. Is he really there? Is he really there? Dricus du Plessis,
I
are you
am
there?
here indeed.
He is there. Dricus, you are here, but we don't see you. We only hear you.
Yeah, unfortunately so. I'm a better. I went on a little breakaway, and yeah, the signal's not great. I mean, isn't that what a breakaway really is?
It is, yes. No, it is. And I do appreciate you joining us on your vacation. I have to say, the sound of your voice on this program is warming my cold heart, Dricus. It is lovely to hear from you, because I wasn't sure about us anymore. You left us at the altar twice in a row last year after the win in Toronto, so I wasn't sure if there was going to be some more heartbreak on today's program.
Well, here we are. We made it happen.
We made it happen. And thank you very much to your brother, and thank you to Danny for making it happen. I appreciate you very much, and I want to congratulate you on all the great things that have happened over the past year to you. You're coming off a phenomenal win over Sean Strickland, and I'd love to start there if I can. Sean, as you probably know, has received a lot of criticism in the aftermath of this fight for his performance, or lack thereof, the lack of offense, this, that, and the other. You were the guy standing in front of him. You were there. And so no one better than you, in my opinion, to answer this question. Do you think the criticism is warranted? Do you think it's fair, the stuff that he has had to hear since the fight a little over 7 days ago?
Well, listen, it's complicated because, I said it before the fight, Strickland has his way. And if you don't give him his way, it just shuts him down in a way. But then again, that being said, everybody criticizing Sean Strickland hasn't been standing in front of me. So, when you're in there with me, it's a very different story. When when you're eating the punches that Sean Strickland has eaten, when your nose broke the way that his nose broke, you're in a situation where, just going forward and fighting is not really easy. And unless you've been in that situation, you can't really criticize Sean Strickland at all, because he's a tough man, and Yeah, I mean, I don't think people should be surprised at this stage because Sean Strickland, when he gets his way and he gets his momentum, he fights a certain way, and when you take that momentum away, he fights a different way, and that's all game plan. That's also you have to go and implement that game plan to get him off his rhythm. But yeah, the man takes a punch like nobody else.
Are you talking to yourself during the fight and saying, when's he going to bring more to the table? Even his coach was saying, during the fight, this is too predictable. When's he going to mix it up? When's he going to throw more combos? When's he going to try to threaten to take down? I know towards the end of the fight, he was doing a little more of that, but it was almost, too much too late. Are you questioning what's going on in the fight? Because the first time you guys fought, I mean, he threw almost double the amount of strikes your way back in Toronto as opposed to in Sydney last week.
Yeah, I think also how many strikes did I land? What was my striking accuracy in Toronto? 27%? What was my striking accuracy last week? That it changes the whole game. It changes the dynamic because it wasn't so much that Sean Strickland, when I was in there thinking, oh, he's not doing this. It's not the same guy I'm fighting. It looked exactly like the same guy I was fighting. I just evolved so much over the last year, and I said that was what was going to happen. And that's what I felt when I was in there.
Can I ask about your motivation going into this fight? I said before that I felt like the rematch wasn't necessarily warranted. I thought you won the fight in Toronto fair and square. I know it was a close one, but I didn't see any controversy there. He had fought once, and I don't know if he did enough to warrant the immediate rematch, especially after not successfully defending the title once. Did you feel like you had to, getting up for an Izzy fight, no-brainer. Getting up for a Whitaker fight, no-brainer. Getting up for your first title fight, no-brainer. Did you feel like you had to search in different places to be motivated for this one?
Absolutely not. For me, whether I was fighting Sean Strickland or was fighting anybody else in the world, I'm not motivated by my opponents. I'm motivated by my own achievements. That's the only thing that motivates me, and that will never change. That has never changed. So whether I was fighting Sean Strickland or was fighting Israel Adesanya, it made no difference to me, and it hasn't. As fighting our first time when we fought in Canada, fighting for your belt the first time ever fighting 5 rounds in the UFC, and your first time ever fighting for your world title, it's a different mindset. Well, not actually mindset, just it's a different motivation, and it also in terms of how nervous you are going into that fight. Now I know I can go 5 rounds, and I know I can push the pace, and I know I am the champion of the world. And I believe that was the big difference in this fight, being able to train a certain thing and going out and doing it in the fight, and not just react more on getting into the octagon and doing what I think is the right thing to do. No, but staying calm, staying cool-headed, and I think that's what helped me a lot in this fight.
I heard you say that going into the Izzy fight, you had never felt those kinds of nerves before, and obviously that was a big one for you, considering who he is in the sport. This time around, did you feel nerves as well, or do you think that was just about the opponent on that night back in August?
No, I felt the nerves. I felt the nerves with this fight too. I felt, this guy. There was a lot of people that thought he won the fight. I didn't think that at all in Toronto, but if we lose to this guy, it discredits everything I've done as a champion. And so there was the nerves were there, but when I got into that octagon, I knew I was going to walk out of there as and still champion. There was nothing that was going to stop me, and I think it was pretty evident in the fight that the amount of work I put in for this fight was incredible. Everything from the game plan to my conditioning, everything was just perfect. I made sure that I put up one of the best performances of my life.
Yeah, and I think you did that. It was very emphatic, 5 rounds to none. A lot was made of his arm before the fight and how it looked, and it appeared as though he had staph, and afterwards that was confirmed as well. When you see that, do you talk to the UFC? Do you have concerns? Obviously, you're used to dealing with all kinds of things in training, but probably not something that you want to have to deal with going into a fight. Do you even ask about it? How do you approach that?
We all have problems when we go into fights. That's being a fighter. No respect for Sean for not using it as an excuse. I don't know if he did afterwards, but no, I mean, it was clearly staph. It wasn't a new staph. I can see that. It wasn't a new staph infection. It's been there for a while, maybe a couple of weeks. But when I go in there, when you fight, there's something about your opponent that's not 100%. It's a fact. So, yeah, so he had staph, I had something else. It doesn't really matter. It's when you sign the contract, when you get into that octagon, there is no excuse that warrants anything. When you get into that octagon, you sign the dotted line that I am here to fight. I am fight ready. And it's not my concern on what happens outside or what illness you're dealing with or what injury you're dealing with. We all have our injuries. Sorry. We all have our injuries. We all have illnesses. Sometimes when you get into the fight, you're not 100%. But once you get into that octagon, it's your responsibility.
Do you think that's the last time you see Sean in a fight? Usually when you're up 2-0, it doesn't, it doesn't warrant the trilogy. Sometimes we've seen this in the past. There have been a couple of occasions where a trilogy has happened because of the closeness of the first fight. Do you think there's any possibility where he comes back around and meets you again?
Well, I think he's going to need to convince the UFC pretty bad. So I honestly feel that for him and me to fight again, like I said, I'm not the matchmaker. I just fight whoever. But to get a third fight without winning a single fight, especially after the last one, that's going to be hard for him. But it's going to a lot about his next performance is going to dictate a lot on where his career is going to go. That's what I personally think.
Mm-hmm. You entered, Dricus, the UFC back in October of 2020. That was your debut date, October 11th to be exact. Since then, you have now tied Chris Weidman for the third longest winning streak in middleweight history. You're at 9. Very close to you is Izzy at 12, and then the face of the middleweight division, the man who put it on the map, Anderson Silva, is at 13. You're not too far away. If we would have spoke back in 2020 about your goals, your ambitions, where you think you ultimately end up, your ceiling, would you have imagined all of this, or are you now at a point where you're exceeding your own wildest dreams?
Ariel, absolutely. I'm not celebrating being the third best middleweight, the third longest winning streaks. Absolutely not. I am number one, and that's what I'm going for. I never doubted myself for one single day. There wasn't a fight. There wasn't a time I've ever doubted it. And I knew there was work to be done. I knew I had big, big shoes to fill. Guys like the great Anderson Silva is one of my heroes in all sports. So I am not oblivious to the fact that how big these shoes are. But I have never for one day stood up when I woke up and thought, I can't fill these shoes. I know I will. That's what I'm after, and that's what I'm going for, the legacy of being the greatest to ever do this.
Do you feel like now, and you probably don't really care, but it feels like the entire MMA community is showing you praise and love? Very smart people are saying that you are going to win your next fight, and we'll get to that in a moment. It feels like if there were any doubters, they don't really exist anymore. Do you feel like you're now finally getting the respect that you deserve in the community and the sport, from the fans to the pundits to the fighters as well?
Yeah, I mean, respect is something that I do hear. And that's the only thing that I've ever felt. I don't hear people that say I suck. I've never heard criticism. I've taken criticisms from the right people. I will take criticism. But when, when media talks about your fighting not being good, I always think to myself, what on earth do you know about fighting? You're sitting behind your computer. So you don't know anything about fighting. So don't tell me how to fight. I'm in the UFC. You're doing media. Your opinion doesn't really matter because you're not a coach. When people start giving me praise, I do hear that and I do appreciate that. And that is something that I fight for. That is something I appreciate. And you have to realize that one person's praise means as much to me as the whole world's praise. So when everybody's booing, I'm still going to do what I'm going to do, and but it does mean the world to me to have people, saying, "Listen, this guy looked great, and he proved us wrong." It means a lot, and I do appreciate it.
When you hear pundits, fighters, not media, analysts talk about how your style is unique or unorthodox, something like that, is that a badge of honor for you? Is that a compliment in your opinion, or do you view it as something different?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I saw Izzy and Whittaker saying they don't know how this works, what is going on, and I finished both these guys, that was something good because that means they still haven't figured out how to beat me. That means they still haven't figured out what went wrong. Maybe some people still owe it, and I know they don't. I know a guy like Robert Whittaker specifically is not a guy that's ever went and said, this happened by accident. He gave me my flowers in terms of said, this guy fights a certain way, and you have to be ready to face that. Otherwise, you will face the consequence. And I believe a lot of guys who do that, they go, he caught me. Something bad happened. And it's not that. You only get lucky that many times.
Is Khamzat next?
Yes, I believe so. It does. All things do point to that. Dana has said it many times. We haven't signed a contract, but I would really, really hope so.
It feels to me like this has the makings of one of the biggest fights of the year, given how good you've looked, the run that you're on, his popularity. He hasn't fought for a belt yet. We've been waiting for him to fight for a belt. It feels like a potential gigantic fight that would headline an international fight week. Does that timeline make sense for you, or is that too soon? That's essentially in 4 months' time. Would you like something a little bit later? What are you feeling as far as your body is concerned?
Yeah. I mean, as of right now, that is the big thing, is taking this vacation. I'm here for the week, and then I'll be ready to make that decision. Get back to the gym, and speak to my team, and then ultimately make the decision. Will we be ready for a date like that? Because that would be incredible if that's possible. I mean, International Fight Week's amazing. I've been lucky enough to fight on International Fight Week a couple of times. So to headline it will be something special.
Right now, like, one of the big mysteries is his travel situation. Do you have any clarity on that? Because it still seems to be one of those things that we don't really understand, or don't really have any sort of understanding as to where he stands. To the best of your knowledge, can this fight happen in America or anywhere outside of the Middle East?
Well, I mean, according to Dana, yes, things are being sorted out, but I mean, that's just what we saw, what he said. I know as much as you do in terms of that. Hopefully I would have, once again, after the break, I'll be talking with Hunter and the guys and get more clarity on that. But yeah, I mean, I guess, we can't go on we have a fight date, but we don't have that sorted yet. Going into a fight camp and getting ready for a fight and committing to a fight and preparing for somebody like him, and then the fight doesn't happen because of something like a visa. We need to know that that's going to be a certain, for sure thing before any fight is signed.
There definitely seems to be a sentiment now that if you get past the maybe second round, go into the championship rounds, that you are going to outlast him. We had Dean Thomas on the show last week. He had I thought, a brilliant breakdown of the fight and picked you in the fight. And I'm seeing this more and more. Do you share that sentiment? Do you think that if you guys go into the championship rounds, you have the experience he doesn't, you have the gas tank he doesn't? Are you seeing those types of issues with his game?
Yeah, I think there is absolutely that. The way he goes for it in that first round, and he's really hard to deal with in the beginning of a fight. But so am I. And once we get there, that's the thing. When you go that hard, in around 2, 3, 4, 5 comes, you still have to be there. And I've proven that I am there in those rounds. So that is 100% a situation where I see if he can last that long, he has to realize every round he's going to come out, I'm still going to be there like I was in the first, ready to kill. And that will never change in my game.
Do you feel like some opponents lose to Khamzat before the fight, that he has some sort of presence and aura that intimidates fighters, as crazy as that may sound, and they are essentially defeated, broken before they fight him?
Yeah, no. I don't, some opponents, but I mean, if you look at the guys that he's fought, obviously the situation with Rob Whittaker was, I mean, that was big ups to Khamzat. He is an incredible fighter. He did what he did to Rob. Rob's teeth were already a problem, and that happened. It is what it is. But I mean, if you look at a guy like Kamaru Usman, what he did with Khamzat on 10 days' notice, you look at a Gilbert Burns, those guys don't get intimidated by people screaming, I smash, on the microphone of the missing weight. That is not how it works. Guys like Gilbert Burns, Kamaru Usman, and Robert Whittaker don't get intimidated by that. So no, he went in there and he fought. And I mean, once again, in those fights, you know, with Gilbert and Usman, we saw him. We saw what those guys were able to do. And those were smaller guys. And I don't believe that. I don't believe at this level there's any intimidation. I don't believe it.
There are some people, Dricus, who believe he hasn't done enough to warrant a title shot. Are you in that camp?
No. And I don't really care. I just know he's a big name. I think after the Whittaker performance, sure, why not? You know, for me, it's the next big guy, and everybody speaks about him as if he has ever been close to a title, which he hasn't. But for me, it's just good to be fighting somebody with, you know, what people think of Khamzat as this boogeyman. People, that's a fact. I don't see that. For me, I only see one thing, and that's the potential to do good to my legacy, the potential to even make my legacy even better.
And I know after the fight you talked about Alex, and you had the quote, and you have mentioned that you'd like to go up at some point. But because you are so close to breaking some serious records at 85, do you think you will stick to 85 until you do that and then think about moving up?
No, those records are not the thing that will keep me at 85. You know, if the time is right, the one thing that does keep me at 85 at this point is the exciting matchups that are available. How exciting the new gen of the 185 division is looking. It looks incredible. And as me as a champion, that is at the top of that is very exciting. And you know, after a Khamzat fight, we'll see what happens. And if it's time to move up, if there is a situation where that makes sense, it has been 3 defenses then, and that's what I've said. At least 3 defenses before even considering going up. That would warrant going up. But now in my mind right now, Alex has a fight, I have a next fight. That is all my focus on that fight, and then we'll worry about what's next.
Okay, and just a couple more, and I'll let you go. And again, thank you very much for the time. I really do appreciate it, especially on vacation.
It'll be a pleasure.
Currently, the sports books have you listed as an underdog against Khamzat. Does that bother you? Does that annoy you? Do you care about that sort of thing?
No. I mean, I've been the underdog every time, I think. So, you know, odds don't win fights. Odds just make people more money.
Yes, especially yes. I think the Strickland fight, this past one, the rematch, was one of the rare times as of late that you have been the favorite. So perhaps there's. Yes,
I was aware of that. All my friends were really pissed off because they said, "No, we stopped making money on you."
I'd love to ask you about something Bilal Muhammad said over the weekend to Barstool Sports. He said, quote, "For me, I'd rather go to 185 and let Islam Makhachev just take 170. Since I've already had to fight my way up to 170, I've beaten 5 top 10 guys. I'm 2 fights away from being able to challenge for the middleweight title, saying, hey, I want to be double champ. I think 185 is probably the easiest weight class. Besides Khamzat, when you look at that UFC 312 main event, you're like, bro, Strickland and du Plessis suck." End quote. Have you seen this quote?
Yeah.
And regardless, what do you think of what he said?
I think I saw it. Yeah, I saw something along those lines. Bilal Muhammad, I can't even remember the way he fights. I don't know. The man, has he ever finished anyone?
Sean Brady a couple of years ago was one of the few finishes in his current winning streak.
All right. Well, happy for him. No, it's just, I mean, I like how he acts as if he has a choice to ever go up to 185. Like, the UFC will never let him. Like, if he wants to do that, he would have to, abandon his belt. He would give up his belt, vacate, and go up to 185. And there's no way they give him a direct title shot. There's no way. The UFC doesn't even like Bilal Muhammad. So what makes him think that he hasn't even defended his belt once? I don't know why he's definitely better on Twitter than he is in fights. I have to say that.
Are you motivated at all by? I mean, he is on a run, and he does say these things about you in the weight class. If the stars align and this is presented to you, are you intrigued by this matchup at all?
No, I mean that would be unfair.
It would be unfair, you said?
Unfair. Yeah, if I fought for Muhammad, it would be unfair. It would, yeah.
Meaning it would be a very one-sided matchup?
100%. Have you seen the size of the man? What is he going to do? Is he going to get somebody to help him? Is he going to sit on somebody's neck? How's it going to work? He's the smallest. I couldn't believe that he's at 170 when I saw him. I couldn't believe that he fights at 170.
Just for fun, how do you think that fight goes?
I step on his head and it's over. That's how that fight goes.
All right, fair enough. So perhaps it's not happening anytime soon. I did see, and maybe this matchup would be a little tougher. I saw some photos of you in December with I think like a great white shark on the shore. Can you explain what's going on here? Like you're pulling on the tail of the shark. It looks absolutely terrifying. Clearly, you're fearless, just given how you fight and what you do for a living. We're showing the photos now. You're on the shore. You're not in the middle of the ocean. Like you're clearly towards the end of the ocean here, and you're pulling on this shark. What is going on here? And is this shark alive?
This shark is indeed alive. I can see it's coming around trying to bite my.
Yeah.
I'm actually terrified of sharks, to be honest. But
you're terrified.
I was fishing. Yeah, I'm terrified of sharks. But like I say, face your fears. I was fishing, and this is actually a ragged-tooth shark. I was fishing, and this shark was on the line. It took me a couple of minutes, maybe like 25, 30 minutes to reel that in. It was a big fight. I mean, that's a big shark. And obviously, when we got it to shallower waters, I pulled it out by the tail to get it out of the water for a photo, and then we dragged it back in. And we released it once again, so the shark was not harmed in this. But man, it's a scary beast. That thing is so strong.
Damn. How many times have you done this?
This was my first time catching a shark off the beach. I've caught some sharks off a boat, but that's a completely different game than doing it off a beach. That's a tough one.
And did it get close to biting you?
Yeah, well, I mean, in that photo, I mean, that's what's that? Half a meter of biting me. So it does try to get around and bite you, but no, it's pretty immobile once you have it in shallower waters, especially when you're behind it. If you're at the tail, you're pretty safe. If you can you have to keep hold of the tail because then you can dictate where the shark goes.
Unbelievable. Well done. I know you gave a shout out to Gayton McKenzie, the Minister of Sport from South Africa.
Yes.
In your post-fight press conference, you showered him with praise for everything that he's doing to bring major events to South Africa, like the UFC, like F1. And obviously, the UFC has had many opportunities to bring an African champion back home, and it didn't work out. And so now you are that guy. And I'm wondering, how close do you think they are actually to making this happen while you are champion? It would be such a shame to go through Francis and then Kamaru and then Izzy and then you and not make this happen. Do you think this is going to happen in your reign?
Yeah, I think 100%. I think so, or wish, believe, and 100%. I do think so. I think it's It's a must-have. I think it would be a waste, a big waste of a massive opportunity if that does not happen. And I mean, we have that guy Tumelo Manyamala that's also going on a tough series now. There is a challenge here, and I'm just it would be a massive honor for me if I'm the guy that's bringing the UFC to Africa and South Africa more specifically. I know we are more than capable of hosting that event, and we've hosted a FIFA World Cup, we've hosted a Rugby World Cup. I know we have everything that we need, and I have 100% trust in Minister Gaten McKenzie and the UFC working together to making that happen.
And there's a South African fighter on this season of The Ultimate Fighter, right? Tumelo Manyamala. Hopefully I got his...
Yeah.
And this is someone who you're very proud of, right? And have worked with in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. I've trained at their gym whenever I'm in Cape Town. They have a gym there, and I mean, it's amazing to see these guys. More South Africans getting to the UFC, more South African talent being exposed to the world stage, and more South Africans and African fighters that living, residing, and training in Africa that starts believing in themselves that they can also do it. You don't have to leave. You don't have to have that opportunity to also get the opportunity to fight in the UFC. You can create those opportunities for yourself right here. And like I said, I know there's a lot of talent, and Tumelo is going to, in my opinion, prove that once again.
Two last things. Oval track racing. I understand this is something that you're really into. What exactly is oval track racing?
Well, if you think of oval track racing, if you look at a NASCAR track, a lot smaller. And also, I do dirt oval mostly. So it's like a smaller track, but, it's not that small. In meters, it would be around 500 meters, and then you race in this oval. And it's a dirt road. There's also a tar road, but I do dirt road racing.
And just for fun, or like on a major scale?
Well, it's a lot of fun. It's my other passion. And one day after when I finished with my career, I would pursue this professionally 100% as a full-on career. But right now it's for fun, but I'm also pursuing this very competitively.
Wow, good for you. Last one: is it accurate that the current middleweight champion, who's breaking these records, who's getting close to Anderson Silva's record, who's on the pound-for-pound list and climbing each and every time out, is it accurate that this man got into fighting, fell in love with MMA through the film Never Back Down? Is that true that you watched that movie and that's what inspired you to become an MMA fighter?
That was the first time I ever saw MMA.
That's great.
That is the first time I ever saw MMA. Before that, I've never heard about the sport. And when I saw that movie, that's how I've been training martial arts since I was 5 years old. I think I saw that movie when I was 14 years old. And that was the start of my MMA journey. That's where MMA became my passion.
So it wasn't seeing a UFC fight, a UFC highlight, something of that nature. It was Never Back Down, starring Michael Jai White.
100%. That is, as much as I guess it's embarrassing to say, but that's the fact.
That is incredible. I love that. Kudos to you. You've come a long way since seeing that movie, which came out in 2008. Really appreciate this, Dricus. It means a lot to us. It's great to have you on. Congratulations on all the success. And hopefully next time we can have you on via video. It'd be lovely to see your lovely face.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about this. I really thought that we would be able to do it, but the signal here is just too bad.
It's all good. No, I appreciate you taking the time, really, sincerely. So thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Will do. Cheers. Have a good one, guys.
All right, take care. There he is, the reigning, defending UFC middleweight champion, Dricus du Plessis. How about that?
This is truly the moment I have been waiting for.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Great job. Great job.
Does anyone effortlessly talk shit as
Yeah.
well as Dricus du Plessis?
He's good.
It's just too good.
He is. I saw you guys talking about this on the watch party. I think it was on the watch party, or it might have been Boys in the Back. How he is truly a 1980s, character, right?
Yeah.
Even down to just being like, yo, look at this goofy MMA movie. I should try that.
Yeah.
I happen to be a champion.
And own it. One of my favorite. You have a catalog of memes, GC, that you use, and the one where it spins around and it's him like doing up the jacket.
Oh, God, I love it.
Because it works. It works. The usual go-to is like when the thing. What do you say about like when you invite people over to watch on stream?
Yeah, when you bring people over for a watch party and you charge them for the pay-per-view, but you use the illegal stream.
Yes.
Also, whenever I post that meme, the amount of people that think that I actually do that is a little bit concerning.
It's great. It's great. But like the look and the jacket and the posing, it's perfect for it. So there you have it. Why did we list him as a mysterious guest or a mystery guest? Well, because...
Who, me?
Yeah, well, no. You would have been a great option, Frank. Do you think people would have been upset if you ended up being the guest?
No.
If like we said, all right, guys, you know what? For the next 30 minutes, it's just going to be one-on-one with Frank. We're going to get to know him better.
You know what? I'm here for it.
Oh, there it is.
Robert knows.
Robert knows. Yes.
Michael also knows.
Were there more?
I think that was it.
Oh, okay, 2. No, I just wanted to keep you guys on your toes. That's all. I just wanted you to, we give you so much. We give you so much these days that I just wanted you guys to, to feel like there was something,
A little sprinkle on the top.
yeah, left to your imagination, that sort of thing. What do you think?
I think they appreciated it.
I think so too. Sometimes it's nice to get a little spice in your life, right?
It's very much like that Name That Pokemon that used to be on the Pokemon cartoon show, and they were all making guesses, and then they got to see DDP. Well, hear DDP, but
Yeah, close enough. Win or learn. Thank you very much to the champion. Thank you to Danny Rubenstein, his manager, for making that happen. We certainly do appreciate it, and we look forward to that Hamzat fight. I think that could be gigantic stuff. Let us move along now and say hello to our next guest. He had a massive win this past weekend. Tremendous finish, vicious finish. He looked fantastic, and he thought that he was slowing down at the age of 40, almost 41. Out the window, a man who, like I said at the top of the show, is up there in the record books with just Conor McGregor as the only fighters to score finishes in 3 different weight classes. In his case, it's heavyweight, it's light heavyweight, and it's middleweight. He got another one on Saturday. He's the killer gorilla. He's Jared Cannonier. He's kind enough to join us right now to talk about the win on Saturday. Hello, Jared. How are you?
I'm doing good, Ariel. How's it going, man? Thank you for having me on again.
Yes, always a pleasure. I said on Saturday after the win that you are timeless. Like age doesn't seem to affect you. Even a rough first round doesn't seem to affect you, and you looked fantastic. We've seen you in many different forms: heavyweight, light heavyweight, middleweight. Maybe this is me being a prisoner of the moment. I thought you were in the best shape of your career on Saturday. You looked like you were chiseled out of stone. Is there anything to that?
Yeah, I actually was in a lot better shape this go around. I didn't really add anything too drastic. I just started going to the gym on my own. You know what I mean? Instead of just going during my scheduled classes, just adding more to the schedule. Try not to overwork myself at the same time, which is a tough thing to do. But yeah, I was able to come out of this camp in really good shape. I looked really good. I felt really good, and I got the victory.
The potential threat of a 3-fight losing streak, did that weigh on you? Was that part of the motivation as well?
I wouldn't say it's part of the motivation, but it's definitely a factor. Something that I considered. Who wouldn't consider it? So, yeah, it was definitely a factor, but I wouldn't say it weighed on my mind. I was worried. I was more focused on displaying the skills, me performing in the best of my ability, not getting hit. The third one didn't come to fruition as I would have liked it to, but I was still able to get the win, so I'm still happy.
I know that you were asked a bunch of questions regarding gatekeeper, this, that, and I could feel like it sort of annoyed you on fight week because you don't view yourself as such. Who would want to view themselves in that way? And so I'm just wondering, when people keep bringing up your age and they bring up questions like this and they bring up in the build up to the fight, how do you process all of that and not let it get to you where you're starting to question yourself and being like, is there anything to this? because every fighter has to deal with this. When are you going to retire? When are you done? And it's probably unfair as you're preparing to go into battle. No one wants to think of these things. And so how did you block all that stuff out?
I guess I've gotten used to it, man. Ever since I turned 40, everybody's been talking about how I'm 40 and still fighting. So it's almost a year now. So I suppose I'm used to it at this point. I guess I'm busy proving everybody wrong. You know what I mean? Showing them that 40 isn't the end of the road, isn't the descent down the hill, if you will. So, yeah, man, I still got tread left on my tires.
Are you surprised that you're still fighting and thriving at 40? Like, was this always part of the plan? I mean, perhaps not saying like, oh, I want to fight into my 40s, but there are some fighters who say, I don't want to get there. I don't want to do this as a 40-year-old. Are you surprised?
I mean, I enjoy doing this. I don't know how those guys feel about fighting, but for me, fighting isn't paramount in my life. You know what I mean? Fighting is a part of my training. So, yeah, there's risks involved and stuff like that, but you know, what part of life doesn't involve risks? You know, being born is risky in and of itself. So I don't know, man. I can't really compare myself to anybody else. Again, my motivations are different from everybody else's. And yeah, I don't really see no end to it as long as my body can keep going, as long as I'm able to take care of my body and able to take care of things outside of fighting and martial arts. Still being able-bodied. You know, I don't see no end to this.
You say that your motivations are different. So what are your motivations at this point?
Well, as far as fighting and martial arts goes, it's not about being in the UFC. It's not about making money or anything like that. It's all about growing and learning and getting that fulfillment. You know, martial arts is fulfilling to me. So I really enjoy it. It brings a certain amount of quality to my life that nothing else can, that not even the UFC does. So, again, the UFC is encompassed within my martial arts journey. So my motivation is to be a better fighter, be a better martial artist, to grow and be a better human being through the martial arts.
Do you think martial arts has made you a better human being?
It has definitely attributed to me improving myself. Yeah, absolutely, yes.
There are some fighters who I feel like maybe get a little down when they're put on the Apex cards because they want the buzz, the hoopla, the fans, all that stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like you don't really care that it could be in a warehouse, it could be out back. You want the process and you want the challenge, you want the reward, and that's it. You're not really in it for the other stuff. Am I right with that sentiment?
To a certain degree, yes. I'm not motivated by the attention, the lights, and being on camera and being, garnering fans and stuff like that. I do enjoy that aspect of it. I do benefit from getting paid. So I'm not going to sit here and shun that aspect of it. I understand. I use it for what it's worth. But it's not my primary motivation. And I don't want that to determine how I think, how I speak, and how I act.
You know how this game goes. They're always trying to build new stars, contenders, etc. Circle of life. It's like the Lion King. And so I'm wondering if you viewed this as a situation where they were trying to build Gregory off of you. He was a little bit younger. He's on a roll. Did you view that and perhaps that was part of the thinking? Like, nah, not tonight, not today. I'm still here. I'm still a top contender in this division.
Well, I think when the matchmakers are in the office doing their thing, I'm sure they're trying to be as unbiased as possible, unless one fighter or another has rubbed them the wrong way. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've done that. I just lost my last 2 fights. So, not every matchup is going to be 50-50, right? We all want to fight up in the ranks. We all want to fight the best. So somebody's going to be on the high end. Somebody's going to be on the low end. I just happen to be on the high end on the last 3 occasions. And I'm glad as hell that I won at least one of them. Shit.
What did you make of Gregory, especially early on? Was he tougher than you thought he would be? Were you surprised by anything he did as far as offense is concerned in the early portion of the fight?
No, I think he came as expected. I expected him to throw hard, to throw heavy. I expected him to come out hard, to be aggressive at certain points of the fight. Just like anybody else, I expect him to take advantage of whatever momentum they can take. So when he knocked me down in the first round, I expected him to try to build on that momentum, and he really put the pressure on in that first round. I wouldn't say he did anything that surprised me. I have all the confidence in the world in my skills, so I feel like I had the advantage as far as striking, the speed advantage. On paper, he had the grappling advantage, but I think as far as the grappling exchanges, I felt pretty comfortable, pretty confident. The clinching stand-up, he threw some strikes, I threw some strikes. Mines were better. Of course, the elbow is the one that helped facilitate the finish, or finish the third and continue that in the fourth.
Yeah.
So, no, I wouldn't say he did anything that surprised me. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
You have a great team by your side. Shout out to the MMA Lab. You guys have been together for such a long time. Between the first and second round, in order to weather that storm, do you remember some of the things that were said to you? Do you remember some of the thoughts, some of the advice?
I think it was the energy. I can't remember. I'm going to paraphrase, but I believe the energy was come back down, recollect myself. We lost the first round, but this fight's not over. Get back to the game plan. The game plan is A, B, C, and a few techniques from my coaches. From the other corner. So, smooth sailing ahead, if you will.
And how are you feeling now? A couple of days later, how is the body?
My knees are a little sore. I think that's a little bit from arthritis, but and from checking kicks and stuff like that. My arm is a little sore from blocking kicks, but nothing major. I saw the doctors today and just going to give me some anti-inflammatories and some physical therapy, and I'll be good to go.
Man, here we are trying to squash the 40-year-old talk, and you're talking about arthritis?
Dude, I've had arthritis for years, man. This isn't nothing new to me.
Really?
So you guys been seeing me compete with arthritis. Not that it's affected my performance or anything like that. So if any of you guys think y'all can take advantage of these old knees, then go ahead and give it a try. But it's gonna
How
be
long
a lot
have you had
harder.
that for?
Like 4 years, I'd say.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a little young for arthritis, no?
Arthritis. Huh?
That's a little young for arthritis, no?
Well, I had my knee scope years ago, and this game is pretty rough on the body. So I had to learn a few things on how to work, strengthen my legs and do all that stuff. And it's a continued journey for me. So it's not debilitating arthritis; it's just annoying. That's all.
Okay. And what about your teammate, speaking of the Lab, Eric McConaughey, in your corner on Saturday, debuting this Saturday in Seattle? Pretty awesome to see, a debutante corner a legend like you a week before his debut. And I believe you're going to return the favor and be in his corner on Saturday in Seattle, right?
Well, I was going to be in his corner, but I got a lot of stuff going on right here. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it. But again, we got a bunch of good guys on the team who's going to be there to help get them ready. Coaches who are always there. Eric has his head right. He was already getting ready for a fight the day before my fight. So he just has another week to get, to get even more ready. So Eric is ready. I've got all the confidence in the world in him to get this job done, to go in there and make a splash in the UFC in his debut and continue on this train that we got going at the Lab.
Yeah, wish him the best. You mentioned in the post-fight press conference that you want to forget 2024 for in the cage stuff and out the cage stuff. It was not a good year for you, and you're happy to start 2025 on a good foot, if you will. Can I ask, why was 2024 so difficult?
Well, outside of the losses in the UFC, I started the year off injured with the MCL tear. I ended the year with the injury with a fracture in my forearm. my wife, we miscarried our baby earlier in the year.
I'm sorry.
And at the end of the year, right there, right between Christmas and New Year's, we ended up losing my dog. So it wasn't fun. 2024 was not good for us. We're happy to put it behind us, and we're looking forward to green pastures ahead of us.
I'm really, really sorry. Sorry about that. How is your wife doing?
She's doing good. You know, life goes on. We still got the 3 kids who still have their needs and demands, and we still have another dog who still has her needs, knows how to annoy us, and you know what I mean. We still got 15 chickens and a turtle, and we still got plenty of stuff keeping us busy.
You got 15 chickens?
Yeah.
Where do you live? You live on a farm or something?
No, not a farm. We live in a neighborhood, but we don't have an HOA, so we don't have like somebody telling us what we can and can't do for the most part. But we got plenty of room for chickens. There's not a lot of room, and it's not too messy as long as we keep them confined and we take care of them.
They're in the backyard?
Yeah.
And do they produce eggs and things like that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's the only reason why we have them.
That's the only reason. Is there a particular reason why you have 15? Why 15?
For the eggs, we eat a lot of eggs. I mean, I eat a lot of protein.
Yeah.
If we have extra, then we can always barter some off with the teammates, with friends, or just give some to people who might need some.
How long have you had them for?
Oh, shoot. A little over a year, I'd say.
Wow. And what prompted to get them as opposed to just, buying them from the supermarket?
Well, we've always wanted to be more, self-sufficiency is the goal. You know what I mean? We don't want to go to the store for everything we need, especially in these times where certainty of the future can be a news article away, right? So, I'd rather be dependent on myself than dependent on employees at the local grocery store, truckers bringing it in from Lord knows where. You got listeria outbreaks going crazy. Man, I trust myself more than I trust other people. So, I would like to have more land to where, we grow some plants outside as well. I would like to have more land so I can have some livestock though.
Oh, like cows and whatnot?
Yep, cattle, mutton, goats.
Damn.
Whatever. Yeah, whatever's edible, I guess.
And you would do you could do that on your own, or you have to teach yourself?
Not on my. I would definitely need people. You know what I mean? So I would hopefully. Shoot, I don't know. I do know some people who would love to buy a big plot of land and work the land. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know some people who are down to do that. So who knows what the future holds?
All right. Can I ask you? We just had the champ Dricus on right before you, and what a run he's on, 9 in a row now. The record is 13. Anderson Silva. Are you surprised by? He's one of the top guys in this division that you haven't fought. Are you surprised by how good he is? By how great he has become?
No, man. In this sport, as long as you train, as long as you train the right way and you do the right things, anything is possible. So he believed in himself. His team believes in him, and he went out there and made that shit happen. So good for him, man. More power to him. I'm trying my best to do the same.
Yeah. Can I ask who do you like in that fight against Khamzat?
That's a tough one, man, because I'm boycotting predicting. I'm boycotting.
You're done.
Prediction.
All right.
Huh?
You're done.
Yeah, I'm boycotting fight predictions. I will give analysis, but fight predictions I can't do because the fight can go anyway. Who knows how the fight's going to happen? We know what skills these guys have. We know how they can employ their skills in the fight. The question is, on that night, who's going to be successful? And we can only make guesses as to that, but we all know that.
There seems to be a sentiment that if he can take him into deep waters, meaning the championship rounds, he will be very successful, meaning DDP. Do you share that sentiment, and do you think that he can get by? You see what Hamza did to Robert Whitaker, right? Just completely annihilated him early on. It was shocking to see it happen in real time. And so, do you think it looks more like that fight, or do you think this is one where we get to see how Hamza looks in those championship rounds?
Well, we haven't seen nobody really try to wrestle Dricus.
Yeah.
I think he leans on his wrestling a lot. I think he feels like he's a bigger, stronger, more imposing guy than most of the other middleweights. And I know Hamzat has all the confidence in the world in his grappling. So, and it's like an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object.
Yeah. What a fight that would be. When would you, in a perfect world, like to return?
I would say early summer, maybe late May, June, July, maybe.
And you're in that spot because you've been in the UFC for so long. You've fought a lot of these guys in the middleweight division. And so what are you feeling? You think it's going to be a rematch? There could be some interesting rematches. Do you think it's a fresh opponent? Where do you think they'll go with you?
Well, there's definitely no fresh opponents that they're going to match me up with that are ahead of me.
Yeah.
That being Hamzat and Dricus.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think it's too high. But as far as rematches, I think a rematch with Robert Whitaker or Sean Strickland is feasible. I would like a rematch with Adesanya, but I don't think the world wants to see that.
Right.
So yes, I would like a rematch, one of those rematches in the next one. If it was going to be a new matchup, definitely a ranked opponent. There's going to be a fight this weekend, Brandon Allen versus Anthony Hernandez.
Yep.
Both of those guys have expressed interest in fighting me. I don't know if they're still on that or not, but that'd be a good matchup as well. They've tried to match me up with Costa in the past.
Oh,
that could be a good fight as well.
If it's between Whitaker or Strickland, which one do you like?
I would. Who's hotter right now? That's the question right now. So sure. Strickland is coming off of a title defense. I don't know if the fans are still behind him as they once were. Everybody loves Robert Whitaker, and the fight that we had was, I don't know. I mean, he won that fight, sure. So I don't know. The fight I had with Strickland was a little close. People, are on both sides of that one. I don't know. Maybe I think the Whitaker fight will be a better fight. Yeah, I like the Whitaker fight.
Okay, fair enough. And just curious, with the Strickland situation, do you think that was more about what he didn't do, or was it about what DDP did do in that fight? When you talk about it?
I think it was more about him, about the way people heard him talk, how they perceived him talking, and their expectations. They let the talk create the imagination. So, but also it's also the way DDP handled him as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So DDP was throwing hard shots at him. I mean, it's hard to come forward when the guy is throwing hard shots like that at you.
When you watch these fights, do you look at it like, man, this is how I'd fight DDP? This is what they're not doing that I would do?
No, I try not to do that. You know what I mean? I try to be more analytical than egotistical, if you will. You know. So I try to separate myself from it to see what skills this guy's employing, the frequency at which he employs them, the intensity at which he's employing them. You know, all those different things. You know, there's a lot of things to consider when I am watching fighters, when I'm watching fights. So,
by the way,
I also try to say what I would do against this person as well.
Yeah, there it is. By the way, what would you do if you fought DDP that they're not doing?
What would I do I mean, I will fight the way that I fight. That's what they're not doing. They're not fighting the way that I fight. So I would go in there, I would hit them, and it would be over with.
Who's the musician in the family? I see a guitar there. I see a piano behind you.
Yes, my kids learning music.
Okay.
Learn music.
So. I thought maybe it was you.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm not. No, my artistic side is in martial arts.
Okay. Yep. Well, you have mastered that, no doubt about it. And it was on display once again on Saturday. Congrats on the win. Always a pleasure, Jared. And you're doing it for us 40-year-olds now. You're now a part of the club. So we are living vicariously through you and your exploits. I went skiing on Saturday, and I'm still feeling it. I don't know how you get punched and are sitting there smiling and looking as good as you do, but that's why you're an elite athlete, and I'm not. So well done to you.
Well, thank you very much, man. I hope you enjoyed your ski. We all do what we can, right, to get the kicks out of our lives. So
that is
happy
right.
for you.
That is right. That is right. Thank you, Jared. All the best to you, and congrats on the win.
All righty, man. We'll see you next time.
Yes, sir. There he is. Jared Cannonier, the Killer Gorilla, still doing his thing after all these years. His MMA debut back in June of 2011, approaching 14 years in the game. UFC debut, if you're wondering, January of 2015, 10 years ago, last month. Who'd he fight? Sean Jordan. That's right. Sean Jordan. Remember him? LSU guy. Fullback? I believe. What was he? Was he a fullback? GC would know. Sean Jordan, LSU. Was he a fullback? Fullback. Gosh.
Man, you're good.
Damn, I'm so good. So good. You remember Sean Jordan? Frank?
Oh, absolutely. LSU? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
06?
Mm-hmm. Is he really 06?
Nah, I just made that up.
Okay. I mean, it's not a bad shout. What year?
Yeah, you graduated in 07.
Is that true?
When you're good, you're good.
Your shoes in 06.
Yeah, nail yourself, Frank. Well done. All right, Frankie, I'm very excited to say hello to our next guest. Let's go all the way to Riyadh now. He is one of my favorite people in this crazy world of combat sports. I've known him for quite some time, and the work that he is doing, especially as of late, with the great Joseph Parker, who may in fact be the nicest human being in the world, not just combat sports world period, is nothing short of amazing. They're this close to getting one more belt, perhaps en route to an undisputed title fight against one Alexander Usyk. But one step at a time, let us talk to the great George Lockhart, who has been by Joseph's side for quite some time now, and he's kind enough to join us. My guy, George. What's happening, George? Salam alaikum, my brother. How are you?
What's going on, bro? How you doing? It's so good to see you.
It is great to see you. Man, what a time we had in London. You, me, Joseph, and the cab, an hour and a half, one way each. I really got to hang with you guys. It was the highlight of my trip. We talked about a lot of things, some personal things as well. But honestly, my big takeaway from all of that was I don't know if I've ever seen a coach fighter have this kind of relationship. You guys were so in sync. Were so lovely to be around. The love that I saw from both of you towards each other, the stories you living out there with his family in New Zealand, it was really. I've talked about this experience on the show so many times since because it really struck me as something unique. And so off the bat, can I ask, how did this all happen? How did this connection forge with the great Joseph Parker?
So I was working with Tyson, obviously everybody knows that Tyson and Joe are really good friends. So Joe, Tyson had told him, like, George has done this for me, and he just came in and was like, hey, can I jump in on the food aspect? And I said, yeah, no problem. So I started cooking for him, and me and him, like you said, we had a bond. We clicked right off the bat. Started talking about life and where he wanted to go. A lot of people that know me know that even though I work in the combat sports world, I'm not the biggest fan. Like I don't keep track of who's fighting, the fight stuff like that. I didn't even know he was a fighter when we first started working together. But we started going, and I had no idea that he's like, yeah, bro, they wanted me to retire. They said I'm on my way out. We started working, and I was like, no, man, you're gonna take over the sport. And he called me for a fight against Django. He's like, can you come out? Flew out there, and then man, I've been living with him ever since. Like, he's the only fighter that I've ever said, like, you know what, I'm going to finish it. We're going to stay together for the end of your career. And yeah, here we are. Go to Riyadh as soon as this fight's over and fly back to New Zealand, and we continue this amazing journey together.
So you live with him. You have moved your whole life to New Zealand to be by his side.
Yes, sir. Yes, wherever Joe is, that's usually where I'm going to be. I come home occasionally. I think I was home last year, like 30 days, and I was 20 days this last year. And probably won't get home this year, the way things are looking. But I ain't complaining. There's worse ways to make a living.
Why is it worth it for you to do this? Like, not a lot of people would sign up for this. Why are you down to do this sort of thing for Joe?
Anybody that's ever worked with me knows that, one of my biggest things is it's not about money. It's not about accolades. It's, me being a former fighter, I know what these guys, they put on the line, and whatever you give me, I'll give you back 100%. And Joe's one of the first people, if not the first person, that's ever literally given me everything. He's like, okay, I 100% trust you when it comes to what to eat, what time to go to sleep, how much water to drink, what we're doing with his training. And the fact that he does that, it's basically, this is how he provides for his family, his legacy, everything. That, that, that's a lot, that puts a lot on, to say that. And if a man does that for you, it's like, okay, I'm going to give him 100%. And if I'm calling him from my house, like, hey, Joe, do this, and try and do training sessions with him there, that's not 100%. So, I said, I'm going to give you everything I got to the end of your career if you give me everything. And it's been, like you said, it's been a mutual thing. And I know he's got my back, and he knows I have his. So here we go, man. He's my brother. He's my best friend, and I see the sky the limit. We have goals. Like this is just a stepping stone for the beginning of our goals, what we set out to do. But one really cool thing, I know it's a long-winded answer, Ariel, but
No.
a year ago, I said, "Give me a goal." And he says, "Obviously, we'll be world champion." I'm like, "That's not a specific goal. A specific goal is, what champion do you want to be?" Because every fight, fighters get all these fights offered to them. And I'm like, if you have a very specific goal, then you ask yourself, does this fight bring me closer to it or does it not? And if it doesn't bring you closer to it, you don't take the fight. If it does, then it does. And about a year and a half ago, he says, I want to be the IBF heavyweight champion of the world.
Wow.
And here we are.
Why that specific one?
I honestly don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. But I just remember we were sitting in his pickup truck on our way to the gym, and he looked at me. He's like, I thought about it. He's like, I want to be the IBF heavyweight champion of the world. And it's starting. I'm like, let's do it, baby.
And you're literally days away from fighting for that belt. I said at the beginning of this interview, he might be one of the nicest human beings I've ever come across. Do you share this sentiment, and what makes him so unique? You've worked with all different personalities, egos, from the world of fighting to entertainment to music, the likes of Jelly Roll to Conor McGregor to Tyson Fury, Brian Stan, Holly Holm, Frankie Edgar, on and on it goes. What makes Joe so different?
I don't want to, because all the names you said would be like, oh, Joe's nice, so it makes him different. No,
Right.
They all have the same thing in common. That old saying, true strength is the ability to be gentle. Connor, Tyson, all of them are probably the most humble people in the world. In person, when you're one-on-one with these guys, the show just accentuates it, and that's how they sell tickets. Joe, what you see is what you get. What makes him the nicest person in the world, which I hate, because there's nothing that shows you how bad a person you are when you're hanging out with one of the best people in the world. But I've never seen this guy lose his temper one time. When you say family man, you see some people, like everybody's a family man, but sometimes they lose their temper, they complain. I've never heard this. When he's with his family, he's with his family. He puts them number one. His mom, his dad, being around this man just makes you a better person. And I'll say you're either a thermostat or a thermometer. You either tell the temperature around you, you change it. And Joe, everywhere he goes, just makes people better. And I think that's what separates him. Is he's not that way in front of the spotlight. He's not that way in front of specific people. He is that way all the time.
Which was your first fight with him?
It was the Django fight in Australia.
Okay, so that was 2023?
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay,
sir.
Obviously since then, undefeated. He's won 4 fights. I've heard you say I've heard you tell this story that the first time you worked out with him, or one of the first times, you guys were lifting weights, and you were like, okay, quit joking around. Let's see how much you can really lift, and it was in fact true, and you were blown away by just. I'm not trying to put him down by just how much he couldn't lift. Is that true?
Yes, I mean I will say this. It's not a knock on Joe. I think this is one of the greatest compliments. It's not just the amount of strength. We were doing kettlebells. Anybody that's ever, or not kettlebells, but military press with dumbbells, and he had 20 kg. He's a heavyweight, man. Like anybody out there that's ever lifted, they would be like, "There's no freaking way." Like I started laughing because Joe's always joking around. And I'm like, "Oh crap, he's serious! Like this dude can't lift his weight." And when it comes to mobility, movement, strength, power, well, he's always had power because he's very fast individual. But all aspects of fitness were the lowest I've ever seen on somebody. And the thing is I'm like, this guy won the world title off of sheer heart, tenacity, and boxing IQ. And I was like, bro, once we give you the base, because he has the peak. Once you get the base, I'm like, you're going to take over the sport, and no one's going to be able to touch it. And here we are.
Yes. So we saw his grand arrival today. A lot of pomp and circumstance. I'm feeling something, man. Dubois. There he is. There's Big Joe, looking great, looking suave. I'm feeling something here. What is speaking of the temperature? Like he's got confidence. Look at this guy. He's skipping over there. This is the evolution of the Big Oos. What's the vibe like around the team?
Well, first off, I want to tell you, this is my favorite day of fight week, Ariel. And I was like, I'm so excited. And then I got this call that you might be on
I ruined it.
Show.
Bro,
you kidding me? I was like, dude, a done deal. I was so, this is how excited I was to be on the show. Like,
you could have told me that. I don't want to take you away from that. I apologize.
Oh, heck no, man. Everybody's been videoing me and sending me stuff. And everybody's like, dude, good luck today. So it's an honor to be on the show, bro. I just want to see how valuable and how awesome it is. In terms of the vibe, Ariel, I have never been so confident in a fight in my entire life. I've I think you've known me long enough when I say, with confidence if somebody's going to win. I don't know if you remember the last time I was in the losing corner of a fighter. You know what I mean? It very, very rarely happens. And sometimes if it does happen, if you would ask me prior to the fight, I would have honestly told you, like, I don't think this is, the best matchup. There's so many different aspects and traits that you're around world champions for so long that you see commonalities. And one of the big things is I think Joe had always believed that he's like, yeah, I'm I'm going to be a world champion. When I told him, when I first started working with him, I'm like, bro, you're going to take over the sport. He was like, yeah, Uso, yeah. And then after you beat Wilder, you kind of see there's like a transition that take place where it's like, I think I had enough belief for both of us. And then the scary thing is that he started believing it. And I think that's the part, like when somebody truly believes it, I know he's like, bro, we are going to be the best in the world. Like not just getting undisputed, but we're going to take this thing and run with it. That's where we're at right now. And when I say that, it's not like we're looking past the flaw, like that's not what I mean at all. It's just like when you have this undeniable faith and things to back it up, the tangibles where he's in the best shape he's ever been in. He's the biggest he's ever been. This guy is so much bigger and runs so much faster, so much longer than he ever has in his entire career. His focus is on point. Working with Andy, when it comes to not just what me and Joe do, but the way that we work as a team. He's the first coach that I've worked with that I put it. And I'm not saying this bad about other coaches, but he has no ego. We have the same common goal. Like let's make Joe the best version of himself. So he talks to me every single day. I talk to him every single day. I say, okay, we're going to do this for training. And he'll be like, okay, we're going to spar on this day. I'll be like, okay, we're going to do this. And he'll be like, you know what? We'll back this up. So we work in unison. My job is to supplement what the game plan is that Andy comes up with. Um, I'm not trying to get the spotlight. I'm not trying to be like, okay, well, he needs to be doing this and this for strength and conditioning. No, my job is when the fight's over. That's when we really amp up the strength and conditioning aspect. During fight camp, it's all about boxing. It's fine tuning. If he has a missing link or a chink in his armor, that my goal is to fix that during the camp. But yeah, man, with any aspect of a champion, we're there, and it's exciting, and I think everybody knows. Everybody knows. The whole team believes. Joe believes, and it's exciting times.
Amazingly, his last fight was against Zhile Zhang on the Ngannou Joshua card almost a year ago, March 8th of 2024. Since then, Dubois has fought twice. The Hrgovic win on June 1st, and then, of course, the big win over Anthony Joshua. Are there any? How do you fine tune a guy who hasn't fought in a year and hope that he doesn't peak too early, that it all kind of comes together at the right time? Are there any concerns about ring rust? How do you deal with all of that?
Yeah, ring rust. There's a lot of sayings and quotes, lines that people use, like ring rust, adrenaline dump, and stuff like that. People don't actually understand where that comes from, but 99.9% of fighters, when they have a fight scheduled, then they start getting ready for a fight. Whereas we were like, okay, we have phases, just like bodybuilding, like, just any other genuine sport, there's phases. For example, you have a strength phase. And with boxing, I've noticed that they try and fit everything into an 8-week period. You can't build strength and speed and power and endurance during this time frame. You have to peak out during this time. That's what the 8 weeks is for, to peak out. Whereas we had time off, so Joe worked on a strength phase, then we had an endurance phase, we had a power phase, and then now we're peaking and putting everything together. So there is no time off. And I think guys get ring rust because they take time off and they're not really building that base. It's like this, they're like, oh, I'm training, which means they're doing road work and they're hitting the bag and so on and so forth. But there's no tangibles that have been increased or improved upon. Whereas Joe, like I said before, we went in there, he couldn't lift 20 kgs. Now we have to go to specialized gyms for the amount of weight that he's lifting. He was doing squats with 10 plates on each side. He's doing the hip squats, with 10 plates on each side of the dang bar. He's got tree trunks now. He's definitely got an inch behind that caboose. But it just kind of shows we have much wider base, which allows us to peak out. And brother, let me tell you, when we say peaking out at the right time in a perfect position, there couldn't be a better example of this.
You're one of the few guys who has worked with the highest level boxers and MMA fighters in your specific role. Is there any difference between the two? The mindset, the training, obviously what they're doing is different, but just like the overall vibe, the way things are structured, is there anything that you can pinpoint?
I've been blessed because, even though MMA is a younger sport, I never got into boxing because, it's been around for so long that they have everything figured out. When I started working with boxers, I realized that it's very, very primitive in terms of structure. For example, let's say you're training someone like Usain Bolt. You tell the guy, run 100 meters, run 100 meters, run 100 meters. And it's like, okay, we time it. And then you're like, okay, run 100 meters again. Then you time it, run 100 meters again, time it. That would be the stupidest methodology in the world. Whereas in boxing, they do the same thing, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's like doing the same combination over and over again. But the truth is, it's like, what are the biomechanics? Okay, where does your head go? Where is this shoulder position to improve the proficiency of every punch? And I work with boxers like, no, nobody's ever done that for me. Like movement, are you pushing with your back leg? You pushing with your lead leg? Or are you pulling with your lead leg? Nobody's ever done that with them. And it's like they do what they do because it's always been done that way. And there's no reasoning to why. So MMA, to answer your question, MMA has taught me to create structure. Everything that you do in MMA, one technique, the instructor's not going to show you a technique and then move on to the next technique. You're going to do that technique 1,000 times because to actually apply it in an active situation, you have to have it down pat. It's got to be, reflex. Implement that with boxing has helped me in leaps and bounds and helped a lot of the fighters that I work with in boxing at leaps and bounds. Their work ethic is the same. The mentality is exactly the same, Ariel. I would say that boxing to me, I think is a tougher sport, meaning, and I don't want anybody to get mad at me like, oh, this is tough. What I mean by that is in MMA, if somebody's better than you, you're getting tapped out relatively quickly. Or if you get punched in the head, you go down, you take a couple punches, and it's over. The safety of the fighters is paramount. Whereas with boxing, there's a lot of fights I know you've seen where it's like third round, you're like, okay, who's better, and it's like, crap, this guy got seven to nine more rounds to go, and there's only one way out. He's getting knocked out, and even if you get a drop, like, hey, go ahead, buddy, you got 10 seconds to try and unravel your brain so you can get punched again. Very tough sport, and again, but you say, like why I moved in with Joe is I'm cognitive of that. He's my best friend, and if I ever see him, like, man, he ran out of gas and he's taking headshots because of something that I was lacking. I don't know if I could deal with that. So, going in there Saturday, I know I've given him everything that I got, and he's giving me everything he's got, and that's where all this confidence goes from. And I think that's where anybody's confidence goes. I think the lack of confidence comes from the lack of preparation. We know we've done everything humanly possible for this fight.
We showed a photo earlier of you and Joe, John Jones, and some members of his team. This was, I do believe, before the Stipe fight in November. How did this come about, where you guys went out to Albuquerque to train with John?
John actually hit him up, and I told Joe that John was one of the first people that I'd ever worked with in MMA, and I told him, I'm like, bro, he's the GOAT. He is the absolute best. His mentality, the way that he views things, he's very, very open-minded to so many things. It'd been a while since me and him worked together. I showed up, and he's still, he's like, easy day, things that I used to say, he implements, and he still remembers that, which shows that no matter how high this guy gets, he still has the humbleness to learn from people. And I think I've noticed a lot of times when some people hit that top level, I think a lot of times that stagnates them is their lack of ability to keep their mind open and continually grow and continue to learn. They just think, I've arrived. You're a white belt. You can't teach me anything. Where John is that way. And I told Joe, I'm like, MMA is a completely different sport. But if I'm a business owner and I sell concrete and this guy is the best car salesman in the world, I can apply the fundamentals and understanding of business to mine, even though it's completely different businesses. And we learned so much at John's camp. His speed coach really helped me out a lot, Matt, and I always forget his last name. He's going to kill me, but he taught me some things, and there's things that I knew, but when he put it in perspective, I was like, that's it. Teach me that speed is systemic. And I'm like, no shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to, people are trying to work on speed on punches. Well, if I'm able to sprint faster, it's like my arms can't get faster without my legs getting faster. It's systemic, meaning throughout the body. You're not just going to get fast hands and slow legs. So we implemented that a lot with Joe. Joe was already fast, but man, come Saturday, you're going to see some real speed.
I can't wait. I mean, it's such a great fight, such a great card, such a great story, and your story is amazing as well. And you're so knowledgeable when it comes to this stuff. Like, just listening to you speak again, I was able to pick your brain a lot when we were together in London. I am wondering if you feel like, I always feel like we're a tragedy away or a miscalculation away, and luckily, especially in the UFC, there's a bigger gap between the weight classes as opposed to boxing. You see some scary scenes of people on the scales. Do you feel like it's evolved? Do you feel like fighters are getting smarter? They're putting the right people around them from when you started working with fighters way back when with Brian Stan? Or do you still feel like we're constantly dodging bullets and people are doing some serious damage to their bodies? We had Josh Barnett in studio a month or so ago talking about how weight cutting is such a big problem and how that needs to evolve. How do you feel about it as you're so close to the front lines?
Man, I got, with my former company, Lockhart and Leach, we came out with the certification. And we still have out 50% off. No, I'm just joking. But if you look at most of the major boxers, in the community today, like Javante Davis, Body Jack, Triple G, Earl Spence, like all those nutritionists have been certified underneath me. My goal as a fighter, because I've seen the dangers in this, and it's funny, Ariel, because like once you think you've seen it all, and you're like, nope, it's getting worse, worse, and worse. The one thing that I love about the UFC is they have a litmus test, whereas they have the UFC center that everybody can go to, and you're not just hiring random people off the street, like a strength and conditioning coach, a nutritionist. They go to the specific place and they know, okay, this is kind of like the base. This is the litmus test of what I'm looking for. Boxing doesn't have that. When I started working with Joe, and I started bringing up, and honestly, it was really basic stuff. Their mind was blown. Like, whoa, I've never heard of that. And, I thought about it, and it's like, there's nowhere to go. It's all hearsay. Like, well, so-and-so has worked with so-and-so. So people are like, okay, well, he's got to be good. But there's no actual, criteria. There's no, you know what I'm saying? There's no baseline. So in boxing, I think it is extremely, extremely dangerous, especially with the headshots and things like that, like second impact syndrome and, the blood-brain barrier if you're dehydrated. It's always going to be a huge thing. My goal in life is to actually educate people as much as possible. Sorry, you got me on a very sensitive subject, and I'm trying to put everything in the
Yeah, I
one
know. I
thing. To
understand.
answer your question, it's always going to be a huge issue. And I pray anybody watching this, you need to get somebody that is extremely knowledgeable. My goal is to have somewhere for boxing so these guys can actually go to and have a confidence of, okay, this is the correct way to do this, this, and this, like the UFC has that. If guys aren't cutting weight properly in the UFC, that's a deficiency on their part because they actually have the place that the UFC has put into place for them. Like I said, I'm hoping to do that with boxing, but yes, to answer your question, it is a huge factor or problem, but I do think they're getting a little bit better,
Okay.
but where it should be.
A couple weeks ago, we had Ben Rothwell on the show, and he talked about after his fight that he had to deal with the toughest thing that he's ever had to deal with, and that was cutting, I think it was to 275. And he said that he reached out to you virtually and just said, like, hey, can you help me on a couple days' notice? He got it done. He won the fight. He became the BKFC heavyweight champion. How difficult is that for you to do it remotely and on 2 days' notice? Like, when you got the call, is this something where you're like, golly, I mean, you got it done, but sounded like a Herculean task.
It was, I went 3 days without sleep. I remember Joe waking up because Joe's like, you want to sleep? What's on? I'm like, nope. But I'm like, I got you, bro. And I was writing stuff for Ben while I was, videotaping Joe spar and so on and so forth. It is something that is so valuable to me. And like, I get angry, like when I'm talking to the team, I'm a Marine, and it's like this. And if you're not doing it the exact way that I tell you to do it, I'm going to be pissed off. Not because I want things done my way. It's because if you don't do it in this way, your fighters is going to be in danger, and they're not going to be optimal. These guys put their heart and soul into the camp, and then it can be jacked up by a bad weight cut. But at first, there was a couple of hiccups. They're not doing exactly what I was saying. And then I actually talked to Ben himself, and I was like, okay, we're going to get this. I got the whole team on there. And Ben gave me everything to a T that I asked for. And like I told you, if you give me 100%, I'm going to give you everything I got. So he did. And I told him, you're going to be in the bath this long. You're going to stay in the bag this long. And they called me. They're like, it's been that long. I'm like, get him out of there. Weigh him. He's going to be on the dot. Literally, he got out of the bag, 275 pounds. He's like, bro, you are amazing. And I'm like, I just done this a lot. But it was great. But I'll tell you what, man, it was an honor. I've watched him for so long. And we, like I said, all fighters are great fighters. They're the humblest people. He is one of the most humble guys. And yeah, it was just an honor working.
I love that. That's unbelievable. Can I ask you did tell me at the beginning of this camp you had a very specific prediction as to how this fight ends, Parker Dubois. Are you comfortable sharing that, or was that between us?
No, bro. I tell 100%. Joe, if I was a bet man, it's funny because I've said, and you can tell with it, but I said third round, Joe's going to knock his ass out. And it's funny because right after that, Dubois like, the fight's over in third round. And I'm like, yeah, 100%, even he knows it. I think so. Yeah, I think a lot of people sleep on him. You know what I mean? I'm not going to give anything away, but yeah, third round. That's the confidence, and there's a lot of reasons why I say that. You know as well as I do that I just don't say things out of the blue. I think my track record of calling fights is pretty on point, man. But yeah, so we'll see.
So third round, and then we're on to Usyk.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
This time next year, you think Joseph Parker is the undisputed champ?
I don't think I know, but every ounce of my being, I know. It's like, I don't know if you remember, we were talking today, and I was like, dude, the ball's going to be his next fight. And then I told you, and I was like, that'll be in February. And then I said, he's going to fight for undisputed in July. None of this stuff has been written down, but I am so dang confident. But it's funny how everything has come to fruition. The things that had to happen, Joshua had to lose.
Yeah.
For this to happen, it's the amount of stuff that's had to happen to put this into place. But like I said, I've believed in Joe since day one, and he's put in the work, and he's had the belief and faith, and here we go, baby.
Well, I wish you guys the best. Thank you so much for doing this. And again, I'm sorry you missed the grand arrivals. I didn't want to take you away from that. But plenty more excitement to come this week, no doubt, in Riyadh. Good luck to you and the big Us, Joseph Parker. Love the guy. I think he's an unbelievable fighter, human, father, husband. He's just such a lovely soul, a gentle giant, truly. And I say the same towards you. You're a tremendous human being as well, and you've done incredible things with amazing people throughout your life, pre-fighting, during fighting, and no doubt post-fighting as well. So, and by the way, I hear maybe one more fight. Yes, is that true, George? One more fight?
Yeah. So I'm trying to. It says will be a boxing match in New Zealand. I'm trying to get. I got one left in the tank. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to do anything. I just love fighting, man. And yeah. So if we can get a fight on the Duco Boxing, which Joe's actually a promoter. With Dave Higgins, yes, I would love to get on that freaking card and put my practice to work.
I love it. Well, good luck with that. Good luck on Saturday, George. Thanks for doing this. Appreciate it very much.
No, man, thank you so much, Ariel. Until next time, brother.
Yes, sir. There he is, the great George Lockhart, a mad scientist, if you will, but a brilliant mind when it comes to all things nutrition, strength and conditioning, and really what he's done with Joseph Parker. I mean, you see it. The proof is in the pudding. The Wilder fight, the Zhile Zhang fight, and he's been on the sidelines for about a year. A third-round knockout of one Daniel Dubois would no doubt catch the attention of Alexander Usyk. It would also get him the IBF title. But with Usyk saying recently, 2 fights left, Parker's right there. And it would be a fresh opponent and an opportunity to become undisputed again. And then, who knows? Does he fight Alex Pereira? Probably doubtful.
I hope so.
He's not fighting Alex Pereira. But he did mention Alex Pereira, somewhat surprisingly, right?
That felt out of nowhere. But maybe it's not out of nowhere. It's one of those things where it's like Usyk doesn't feel like the just spin a yarn type. So maybe
UFC ain't doing it. I wish they would.
I mean, if you're the UFC, and there will never be a more perfect circumstance in this, right? If you're the UFC and Usyk goes, I am not interested in being your champion. I'm not interested in anything more than this. What I want is one super fight with Alex Pereira, and then I'm out of your hair. You don't have to worry about negotiations. You don't have to worry about anything from the future. There will be nothing messy and tricky to unpack from this. We do it, we make a lot of money, and then I'm off in the sunset. That feels
I think
Conceivable.
their thinking is not a big enough worldwide star to warrant the risk of seeing Pereira get.
Even if it was boxing, though, like Pereira steps into a boxing ring with
Their whole thing is we build this guy up. It's kind of like what Dave Feldman said about Mike Perry. Like we built this guy up, and then he crosses over into something he isn't well versed in, and now all of a sudden it feels like the work that we did has kind of gone to waste.
Has that happened with Francis or Connor? Do you feel like their star is diminished?
Well, I think there's an argument to be made with Mike, right? He hasn't fought since.
Wait,
I think there's Mike Perry, right?
I'm confused. With Mike Perry?
Mike Perry, yes. Mike Perry went to boxing. He lost, and now all the momentum in BKFC, to Dave Feldman's point, dissipated. So that's the
I mean, I was thinking like Francis and Conor McGregor.
But I'm saying Dave Feldman said I wasn't happy with Mike Perry going over to boxing because we had built so much with him, so much momentum, so much time and investment, and then all of a sudden it feels like the aura went away when he lost to Jake Paul. You can make the case that some people felt the same post Mayweather with Conor. He was on an unbelievable run and didn't win that fight. I could understand why the UFC would say Alex Pereira is untouchable. He's a megastar. We don't want him to walk into a boxing match against arguably the number one pound for pound fighter in the world and get clowned, because all it does is not only potentially tarnish his legacy, but it tarnishes the UFC as well, because it makes the UFC seem inferior to boxing superiority. So I get it. I understand why the UFC. Now, do I wish they would do it? Yes, it would be fun as hell. It would be incredible, but I understand why they would feel some sort of way. If it was Usyk going over to MMA, I think they would say, yeah, for sure, come on over.
Yeah, because Alex would smoke him in 5 seconds. I think it's worth the gamble, and I don't often feel like it would be for the UFC. This one feels worth the risk to me. If you put Alex Pereira in a boxing ring with Usyk and something happens where he's able to find that left hook, it could be monumental. And I don't think Alex Pereira's star power would be greatly diminished. I don't think Conor McGregor's star power was diminished. In fact, I think it was significantly enhanced. I don't think Francis Ngannou's star power was diminished by going to boxing. I think it'd be worth the risk in this very specific scenario for the UFC.
Couple news and notes before we turn our attention to our DAZN boxing show at 5 Eastern. So in less than 2 hours' time, Ariel Helwani going to be joining us live from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Eric Nixick, who of course was on the program 7 days ago talking about the Sean Strickland thing. You know by now everything that transpired. He did post this earlier today. I've learned a lot this past week, and I promise you this experience will make me a better person and coach all around. Apologies to my team and coaches for bringing any negative light to our home. That's on me. This has been a blessing in numerous ways and has opened my eyes to how I need to be better. Love you all. Hashtag water under the bridge at versus us pod. Is it versus us?
I think it's versus us.
Versus us, yes. So hopefully that's the end of that, and who knows where it all goes from here. I did see some people yesterday saying that I was playing the victim. I have nothing to do with all of this. I asked him some questions, and he responded, and that was that. I was just pointing out the irony of the fact that the biggest truth teller in the sport seemed to have been offended when his coach just kind of, I viewed it as him lighting a fire under Sean's, tuchus, saying like, you know what, we need to have a come to Jesus. I didn't think it would translate into Sean being like, yeah, we're done. 24. Like one thing that we always say about Eric, he knows how to talk to his fighters. And I think that he read that situation correctly. I'm surprised that Strickland had the reaction that he did, but a lot can happen between the next time he fights. So let us see how that all pans out. But I'm happy to see that message from Eric Nixick. The PFL has announced who will be in their women's flyweight tournament. Remember, it's one and done now. No more season, no more standings, no more points. And the names are as follows: Diana Avzaragova, Jenna Bishop, Liz Carmouche, Elora Dana, Ilara Joanne, Tyler Santos, Juliana Velasquez, and Kana Watanabe. So somewhat notable is the fact that Dakota Dicheva isn't in the tournament. But if I'm being honest, I wasn't expecting her to be in the tournament. She has conquered the tournament, the Europe tournament and the big tournament, if you will. She became European champion and then this past year won the season. There's nothing for her to gain. She should be the PFL 125-pound champion. That's simple. Usman Nurmagomedov should be the 155-pound champion. Dakota should be the 125-pound women's champion. Who else is there? Patchy Mix should be the 135-pound champion. There's certain guys and gals that should just become the PFL champion, in my opinion. And speaking of the Champion Series, I did get this note just moments ago. The PFL Champion Series is going to kick off in July with major announcements dropping in March. It's an all-new high-stakes MMA product featuring champions versus champions in exclusive one-off matchups. Is it really going to be champion versus champions? Or is it just going to be championship fights? In any event, that should kick off in July. The question is going to be where it's going to air here in the United States. Obviously, the one from January in Dubai aired on Max. I had heard some talk of Amazon, and so let us see. But they are going to kick off in earnest. Everything's going to be happening really starting April, I do believe, with these tournaments. Yes, Friday, April 11th. We told you last week that they will have 4 straight shows at Universal Studios in Orlando, which is fine. I just noticed something. Can we put that graphic up again? Bottom left, Friday, April 11th at 11:30 p.m. Eastern? What? On ESPN2? The main card is at 11:30 in Orlando?
I'll be there.
Come on. What is going on? What are we going back to, like...
Flyweight?
This is truly the moment I have been waiting for.
What is it? Are we going back to 1989 kickboxing in the middle of the night on ESPN2? 11:30?
I hope so.
That makes no sense.
You know what's crazy?
ESPN, put it on ESPN Plus.
It is on ESPN Plus.
No. But forget about the deuce.
Yeah, but here's the problem: the prelims start at 6:30, so there's 5 hours. There's 5 hours of prelims, and then the main card starts at 11:30.
No, come on.
No, for real. According to ESPN Fight Center, according to I trust this when it comes to ESPN Plus broadcast products, the April 11th card, the prelims start at 6:30. The main card starts at 11:30. For the April 3rd card, also from Orlando, the prelims start at 6:30, but the main card starts at 10. So it's actually only 3.5 hours of prelims. But for some reason, we've got
what are we doing here?
5 hours of prelims on the April
awful.
11th card, and then 11:30 main card start time.
Last week they did announce the featherweights. We already told you about the welterweights, but the featherweights are as follows: Adam Borix, Gabriel Braga, Nathan Kelly, Jeremy Kennedy, Movlid Khaibuilev, one of the great flying knee knockouts of all time, Tai Kyun Kim, Yves Landu, and Jesus Pinedo. Thus far of the 3 divisions, like no real like superstar, like can't miss name on there, right? You guys agree or disagree?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We showed the grand arrivals. We showed Joseph Parker loving life out there. Here's Daniel Dubois from earlier today. I love a good grand arrival. It's a lot of pomp and circumstance. Would you guys like to see this happen in MMA, or do you think that it's...
Nah, I don't need it.
You don't need it?
There's already enough pomp and circumstance surrounding it with the presser and then the
got the
weigh-ins
presser
on
too.
Friday, and we don't need it.
It makes for a long day, does it not? I mean,
Yeah.
it not only that...
For a long week.
It makes for a long week. It really does. It makes for a long week because if you're one of the media guys, like I was talking to Ade about this, like you got media day on Monday, you got grand arrivals on Tuesday, you got presser. Yeah, you might have... No, I think you got workout on Wednesday, you got presser on Thursday. It's just a lot of stuff, right? It could probably be consolidated.
Yeah, let's consolidate it.
We do have Better Biev and Bivol showing up. This, of course, is the main event. Light heavyweight, undisputed. What? Bill checking his phone?
Gotta check the phone real quick, see if we got any texts.
Dimitri, come on.
See if we got any notifications on the old X.
This is why you lost. What are you checking your phone? You're not focused, Dimitri.
He's ready to roll. He wins trilogy.
Rate the fit. Rate the fit.
I mean, fit's good.
Box bra.
Fit. Black and white.
Tracksuit.
Down.
Ooh.
I'm a high neck kind of guy.
Artur looks like he just came off like a 10-mile run in the Dagestani mountains.
Nah, on the streets of Montreal.
Yeah,
brother.
He's one of our own. Artur Beterbiev. He's one of our own. Ade calls him Beterbiev. I think it's Beterbiev.
I think it's Beterbiev as well. Beterbiev sounds like you're cutting it short.
Yeah. Shakur showing up. I mean, it's some kind of card. In fact,
out of Newark, let's go. Brick City, repping in Saudi.
We should let everyone know that we'll be doing a watch party for this card on Saturday. Yes.
Yeah, we sure will.
Me? Yeah.
We'll do we'll join at 3. The final 3 fights. We'll come on as the 4th fight down is going on, but then we'll get the Shakur fight. We'll get the Joseph Parker fight against Daniel Dubois, and we'll get the Beterbiev versus Bivol. You wanted us to do the whole card.
I wanted you guys.
We said otherwise.
I said Calm Smith, Joshua Buatsi. That's the one.
I'd be there.
Every time anyone talks about this card, it's actually brilliant. Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn, it doesn't matter who. They mention the top 2 fights, and then they always mention, this card is so good, you're getting Buatsi Smith as the curtain jerker. Like, they always mention it. It kind of reminds me of the time Uriah Faber was asked to be on the prelims because he's like, more people are going to see me anyway.
Well, who was it for UFC
was
300?
it Cody? It was Cody.
Figgy
right?
Cody Garbrandt is your curtain jerker. That's
it's so good that Figgy Cody. And then meanwhile, like later in the card, it's like Marina Rodriguez against Jessica Andrade. I mean, like that could have been.
It's a great card.
It's so good. You just
whenever the high voice comes out like that, you know
it's so good. We did find out that the GFL is going to do Henan Barao versus Uriah Faber. One thing that does concern me, not the song. The song doesn't concern me. It does concern me that we're getting a lot of fights, but not a lot of dates or locations. Anyone concerned about this?
Concerned. I will not believe anything until we have a date or a location.
It's just like people are
just
saying,
keep
like,
naming fights all we want. It's just like the PFL. We signed Jake Paul. We signed Amanda Serrano. We signed Francis Ngannou. I need dates. I need venues before I believe anything.
I'm cautiously optimistic. I feel like we'll sort it out.
Actually, last week you guys were on the show, and I think it's when the Weidman Rockhold fight got quote unquote announced, and I wasn't sure if I don't recall if it was GC to Rick or Rick to GC, and you're like, okay, so when is it? And where is it?
These guys are going to fight at some point.
So basically, we know nothing.
These guys are going to fight at some point.
It's okay.
I mean, we're all clamoring for Faber Barao 3 too.
Okay, can I just go on record? I want to say, for the record, definitively.
Yes.
I know, we're going a different direction, but I do want to say,
please.
I prefer Rockhold Weidman, Henan Faber, to the alternative, which is sacrificing these guys to the altar of some young stud who's going to steamroll them. So I like the direction.
Who are the young studs in GFL?
No, I'm saying I like this being the thing in GFL. I'm not saying there's an alternative in GFL What I'm saying is I'm uninterested in Chris Weidman being served up to some young guy and so I like this. I like the matchups being made. Now, would I feel better if there was a date and that's
what I'm saying.
Location attached to it and something concrete? Sure, certainly.
We did the draft. We did all of this. Like now, just kind of go quiet for a little bit. Let us, forget about the GFL and then just come up one day. Be like, oh, here's our first card. It's going to be on July 18th, and these are the fights that are going to happen, and it's going to happen in LA. It's going to happen at the theater at MSG, wherever it may be. There it is, and then everyone goes, oh, this is like a pretty fun card. I'm looking forward to that. I can't. Oh yeah, it'll also be broadcasted here. Where are we going to be able to watch this? Is it YouTube? Is it television? Where is it going to be? When is it going to be?
Details.
Come on. We need these.
I agree with that.
They're going to fight eventually. Maybe they might.
This slow drip of fights with no dates or location, and the trades.
Yes.
Prove me wrong. Just drop it all at once.
Yes.
I will watch if they have an event.
It'll come. I'm confident.
You guys, all right. I appreciate the confidence. And by the way, I mean April is rapidly approaching.
Yeah, it is.
Is that when the first event's supposed to be?
That's when they said, yeah.
It's getting tight. It's getting tight.
I mean, we're 2 months away. We're less than 2 months away from the start of April.
It's tight.
It is getting tight, and it's
tough.
It's tough as well. Speaking of which, I mean, we're less than 2 months away from the UFC card in Miami.
Can't wait.
And no main event. Although we're getting,
so they got the date and the location, but they don't have the card.
But we have Hooker. Hooker keeps saying, I thought it was going to be me, Kai France, and Volk on the same card, and then they called me earlier. So if it is Pantoja versus Kai France and Volk versus Ilya, and Ilya seems perfect, although I'm assuming he would know. I asked his team. They said nothing confirmed yet. And I was like, well, yeah, that's why I'm asking you.
You want me to be honest?
Yeah.
I'd rather have the date and venue and no fights than fights and no date and venue.
Well, that really just speaks to how powerful and successful the UFC is now. The UFC can say, we're coming to Montreal for UFC 314 or whatever it is. 15. We're coming to Miami. And they could sell every single ticket based on the 3 letters, the number alone. No one else could do that. The only other combat sports entity that could do that is WWE at this point.
Yeah,
right? That's it.
Boxing is so reliant on the 2 people in the main event.
Matchroom can't say we're coming to Manchester.
No.
They'll do pretty well. They could probably sell a ticket or 2, but it has to be dependent on the card and most importantly, the main event. The UFC is the only one. I mean, we obviously have the March 8th pay-per-view and then a couple, but like come April, there's not much. There's like rumored, reported, but nothing official, right?
Well, what they've established and what they've built is a reliable assumption about quality. If they say we are bringing a pay-per-view to Miami or we are bringing a pay-per-view to Montreal, people are operating under the assumption that it will be a decent main event and maybe co-main event. If it is not, I imagine that, then from there tickets won't sell so well. But UFC has created an expectation of a certain quality of card, and so they have that right now. They can roll into town and just be like, we're coming, and people will buy the ticket.
Chase Hooper, Jim Miller's enough to get me to buy tickets.
Is that on Miami?
Yeah.
Main event?
That's a fun one, but I don't even think that's main card.
Nah, I doubt
it might be main card.
I think Dominic Reyes,
maybe the kickoff, like the first fight, or that swing.
Nikita Krylov.
But none of that is actually officially announced, right?
Oh, I think Chase Hooper has gone on his Twitter and said he's.
Well, but I mean, like from the promotion on their social media, this, that.
We'll probably get all of it on 313.
You think so? That would be a month out.
Maybe we get 315 on 313.
Yeah, I think 2 months.
Really, we haven't gotten a Dana White video in a while where he's in the water.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, I'm craving one.
Is that how Darren Owen is going to announce the dates and locations? He just does a "What's up, guys" video.
Not a bad idea.
I would really love to see. I would love to see what they're going to do for Miami. I feel like we have some sort of. I'm not sure about Montreal. A little bit up in the air at the moment.
I think I threw this out on Boys in the Back. Jasmine Jasdavicius versus Rose Namajunas.
Jasdavicius.
Yeah, I love
not
that.
main or co-main, but on that main card wouldn't be bad.
We need a featured fight for Jasmine for sure.
And you need a Canadian, Malat.
Oh yeah.
Jasdavicius.
Yeah,
Kyle Nelson, my guy Kyle Nelson's got to get on there.
Zahabi for sure.
Oh, Zahabi has to be on the main card.
Zahabi is probably at this point the most, successful Montreal fighter.
I think Zahabi and Jasmine are the only 2 top 10 Canadians right now. Is Zahabi in the top 10 or is he like 13?
I think he was top 15 bare minimum.
See right here.
He's definitely ranked. He's definitely ranked.
He's 14.
14. Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, that's crazy. How's he 14? By the way,
Jasmine 9.
Since last week he went down 1 and Marcus McGee went up 1.
Yeah, some stuff came out.
The old rankings. Before the program, we love to talk about hard outs.
We got a couple of super chats.
Oh, we do. Okay, I was about.
Yeah, my 339's coming.
Hey,
I'm good. All right, go ahead.
Duncan writes, with New York Rick's continued and reoccurring sickness.
Oh,
I just wanted to
say. It says
say
recurring, not reoccurring. Let me just help you there.
Wow.
All right, man. I just wanted to say a big thank you to the rest of the team for stepping up, filling in the void, and picking up the slack.
Wow.
When Eric
Like I
is
did
not
just there.
operating at 100%.
Okay.
No problem, Big D.
You know, I'm so thankful. The unfortunate news to everybody else, though, is I'm not sick and have never been sick. So
well, you're not sick anymore. You sound great.
Yeah, now you
sounds like
I
you
mean,
got over.
I mean, was I ever? I mean, if there's no evidence to the contrary,
Your eyes
I have never been.
Yeah. Frank, how are you feeling? I heard you got
a little under the weather.
The Rick flu
I
too.
developed a speech impediment. The
That's a
words
shame.
got really blurry. I was having a hard time reading, and then what happens? He just hits me while I'm down. He's like,
I've never experienced that, so I have no sympathy for it.
we're gonna put again
and
on
we're
your
gonna have to-
gravestone. We told you were sick.
I don't know if I'll ever die. I don't think I will.
By the way, do you do like the yearly doctor checkup thing?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. They say you're fit as a fiddle, and I just walk out. That's
right.
great.
At least,
Shout out to my
you're not that guy who's like, I don't need to go to the doctor. I don't need to get.
No, I never
Who,
go
me?
to the doctor other than the physical.
Sure,
Go to
sure.
the. In fact, I do it twice a year. I go
Is
6
this
months.
Where they take pictures for the encyclopedia.
Wait a second. Wait a second. You do it twice a year?
Yeah, I go every 6 months.
I didn't even know that was an option.
Bi-yearly physical.
Go to the doctor. Hey, how we doing? Doing great. You're fantastic. Never been sick.
Wait,
in your
for
life.
someone who doesn't
And
believe
then-
in any of this stuff, you go twice a year? I've never heard
I
that.
believe in a body breaking down and a body actually like having to be maintained. I've just never been sick. Like, you know, a flu and things like that.
These
Just never
things happen.
experienced it. So it's it's just and I'm fortunate and I'm.
It's ironic you've never experienced the flu when you have a flu named after you, the Jackman flu.
Wow.
You guys have dubbed it that.
How
I
was your
feel like it
gout
should be
all
named
day?
after somebody who has experienced it, but that's just me. I mean, I'm not here to.
I'm alpha.
I don't want to micromanage, you know. Other than
really?
when I corrected Frank on his poor
By the way,
reading.
do you do a blood test
Yeah,
I don't think he is.
twice a year?
yeah.
I
Why not?
actually do a blood test twice a year as well.
Wow.
I only
Jesus.
do a blood test when it's required of me.
Why is this like?
I used to go to a doctor, and I've since switched because she said we're going to do it every second year, and I was like, this seems too long in between. Like, what if something happens in between?
But now it seems like you're like 6 months is too short. You seem very like trepidatious about this idea.
I kind of felt like once a year was the standard.
The
It
standard.
could be, but what's wrong with twice a year? Why
I
not?
mean, I guess you could do it once
check
a
the
month.
pipes, you know.
All right.
You could do it once a week if you want.
Yeah,
When
why
your
not?
blood's good. It's
Well,
good.
see, this is you guys. You guys who
No,
experience
now I'm
illness
starting to
and
feel like I haven't done it enough.
there you go. As I said, I work with a lot of hypochondriacs who are very concerned about their health at all
But
times.
usually, people with your mindset don't do 2 times a year.
My mindset. What is my mindset? Do
I
not
wanna be
get
a
sick.
fly
I
on
don't
the
get
wall
sick.
in
What's
these
my
doctor's
mindset?
Appointments. They're probably like, Rick, please stop going out into society. You're making everyone sick. And he's like, yeah, I'll see you in 6 months.
I know he
Bye.
actually does this because he's immunocompromised. He actually gets sick more than anyone.
What else?
Never
Frank?
missed
What
a
else?
day.
Hammer Parsa writes, hello to the man at the front and the boys in the back and PT. If you guys were fighters, what weight class would you be realistically fighting in?
Oh.
Thanks.
I think I would be. I mean, I hover these days around 198 to 203. Believe it or not, some people think I'm a flyweight. I see sometimes. I'm like, golly.
Middleweight Helwani, huh?
What's up?
Yeah, you'd
We're
be a
gonna cut to
middleweight.
middleweight.
Man, that would be tough. But I feel
No, that's the water.
I've always felt like my
Versus
ideal.
Dricus.
I've always felt like my ideal weight is 188. So,
So then you'd
All right,
be
so 185.
You might be a 70er though.
get
if
the
you-
fuck out of here. So,
Cut down to
are
170.
you out of your mind?
Well, are we cutting or not? Are we taking the water out or not?
185 is doable.
All right. Ariel versus Izzy. Bounce back. From
Nah, me versus Hamza.
Oh,
God,
perfect.
you
That's
Easy
great.
work. Easy work.
Pick the biggest guy.
What about you, GC?
155. I'd cut down to 155.
What are you walking around at these days?
Right now, I'm like 173.
That's a big cut, 18 pounds.
It's worth the risk. Use the size advantage.
Reach.
Wait till you see that
length.
sprawl I have against
Yeah.
Islam Makhachev.
Fuck.
Imagine the mentality. He's training wrestling all camp, and then I get in, stuff the first 6 takedown attempts. He
Hit
doesn't
him
know
with a
what's
knee
going
as
on.
he's shooting.
Elbow.
Yes. I would love to see you versus James Vick. I feel like that'd be a good fight. Frank, how do
Me
you
versus any of them would end in a mauling on them mauling me.
Frank, your thoughts on the elbow to the microphone? Your reaction?
That was
not my
light too.
favorite.
That was right. I'm a southpaw. My reel is left. Oh, that's good form right there.
When all of a
push
sudden
him up
people are
against the cage, grab the.
Why does Connor sound like shit compared to everyone? I don't know. Maybe it's
that
the
lefty,
use of the microphone.
That lefty elbow.
Breaking
that
the
comes out.
microphone.
These are razor blades right here. Shout out.
Rick, what are you fighting at? What weight?
I would probably be 70 these days. Back in the day, probably would have been 55.
When you did UFC Fit, what was it?
Nah, I got way too low there.
No, what was that?
got down to like 45.
That's crazy.
But I was skin and bones at that point.
That was crazy.
Yeah, do I do the super cut, get down to McGregor skinny, and then be the 6'1"
You're too tall.
featherweight?
You're too tall for that. You don't have the fat to lose there in the water weight. You're too lanky. You're too tall.
I'll rip 155.
I think you could make 55.
Great. Most stacked division.
All right. Wait, so you're 55 too, Rick?
No, I'd be 70.
Okay. So
years ago, I'd be 50.
So we've got it covered. 55, 70, 185. We could be in the Four Nations face
with a cut, by the way.
Low key, I
need to cut some water.
I could be flowing through the weight classes. I might come and take the belt from both of you guys. Triple champ over here.
You can't make 185.
I can't make 185. I mean, the heaviest I've ever been is like 209.
What about well, that was way. I mean, wasn't that like when you were in college or something? You said.
Yeah, those were my drinking days.
What about hey Dricus? How do you think the fight against Bilal would go? I'd step on his head.
No, before the lead up to I'll step on his head, he just laughed hysterically. And you were like, wait, you're saying that it wouldn't be fair? He's just like, no, look at the size of the man. I'd absolutely kill him.
It was a little Conor McGregor-esque, like just feeling like he's a mite to just like brush away. But also he made a good point. He's like, I've stood next to this, like I've seen this man. Like he is not the same size as me.
It's just like my favorite part about the quote is that he thinks he could even come up to middleweight and challenge.
Yes, exactly.
In a 3-point shooting competition, me versus Bilal, who do you think wins?
I don't know.
Yeah,
what's going on, Frank?
Oh, that was the hard out music.
Sorry, we have programmed it into the machine.
It's automated.
Yeah, we actually are about to go to a commercial break.
Did you guys see that? I mean, the form was just.
You hit 2 elbow jumpers. What do you want me to say? You the next Tim Duncan over here?
You don't. Big fundamental, no problem. You don't think I could beat him in a game? I think I could beat.
Yeah, you could. I think I could beat him in basketball for sure.
Hot take: 95% of the roster. I think I could beat in a game of 1-on-1.
Who's the 5%?
I'm sure there's a guy out there. I'm sure there's a Corey Sandhagen who will.
Are
hit
you
a couple
concerned?
shots over
Here's my concern.
Yeah.
I think the heavyweight division is just going to be able to back you down.
I know you can stroke it. I know you can.
For sure.
That sounded
weird.
Yeah.
No,
I know that you can shoot a basketball. I played on your basketball team, so I know this. I have no doubt. I didn't need to see those 2 elbow jumpers. I know you can.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Are you concerned about the physicality though? Because there's some big boys.
The ball was getting away from you a little bit on the dribbles.
Wow.
Oh wow.
I'm playing with balls.
I'm wondering if the cookies are getting.
Wow. We're breaking down the film.
The phrasing on all this.
Yeah, we're breaking down the film.
Right?
We need to cut away from me.
Can we clip this segment out and erase it from the internet? Please?
Oh my gosh. Listen, I was getting warmed up. We just got there. It was freezing. The balls were a little bit, deflated.
Deflated.
I had not played with many, balls at that point. Was unfamiliar. So, no, I'm good. I would beat 95% of the roster quite confidently in either a game. We played knockout. I smoked everyone, kids age like 9 through. Well, my daughter played too. She was 7.
How'd you feel good against the 9-year-old? That was probably.
Yeah. It felt really good when I eliminated.
You never let
wife.
the kids win, right?
Absolutely not. Never.
It'll be that much more special when they eventually do beat.
Actually, recently we played 2-on-2. It was myself and Walter, the now 11-year-old, against my older son and his friend, 2 12-year-olds. And it did get dicey there for a moment. I'm trying to get Walter involved and whatnot. But then as we were getting close to 21, I was like, all right, enough of this. And I just scored like 6 in a row. And I said, not today, fellas, not today. And I loved it because it was actually competitive. And I know at some point they will beat me, but I still got it.
It'll be that much more special when they do.
I can't let them.
You can't let them.
No way.
I've been playing my 5-year-old nephew in chess. I mean, it's no mercy.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I did tweet about a great moment that I had yesterday with Walter. I went to his game after the show, and he's really getting into basketball. And I swear, when I watch him play, I feel like I'm looking at myself. His mannerisms, his intensity, the way he gets pumped up about certain things. I feel like I'm watching myself. And at one point, just where I'm sitting, this kid comes down, and they're a little bit out of control. The 11-year-olds, they don't exactly know the ins and outs of pacing and how to move the ball and how to play defense the correct way. But they're getting it. They're getting there. And at one point, Walter draws a charge. And I'm like, what the heck is this? I've never seen this. No kid has done this in the league, at least not this season. And afterwards, I said to him, and he scored a couple points, and the team lost a heartbreaker, but it was all good. It was a great game. It was pretty late. It was like 9:15, late game for 11-year-olds, if I'm being honest. And I said, you know what my favorite part of that game was? And he said, the shot, the free throws, this and that. I said, no, the charge. The charge was unbelievable. I'd never seen you do that. And he said, oh, yeah, I did that on purpose. And I was like, yes, I could tell you did it on purpose. And it was brilliant. He didn't flop. He took the hit. He fell hard. He put his body on the line for the team in a crucial part of the game, like 3-4 minutes left, 3-point game. And he said, you know where I saw that? He said, I don't know. I said to him, where did you learn that? And he said, I saw Jalen Brunson do it. And I was like, as a dad who loved basketball, as a kid who still loves basketball, and also a Knicks fan, to hear him say that, I started getting emotional.
I honestly thought you were going to say the drug commercial from back in the day where he's like, I learned it from you, Dad. I thought
that would. I mean, he didn't.
He
didn't see me in my prime.
Yeah,
but I told him I used to do that.
Defensive, like that would have been.
I told him I used to do that. I mean, the tennis elbow that I used to have, I used to have tennis balls on my elbow because I used to fall all the time, diving for loose balls. I mean, I was a real sort of, lunch pail, hard hat kind of player.
You were scrappy, yeah.
And to see my son develop, I feel like I'm watching myself. It's a wild thing. And now to see him watch basketball and fall in love with it and emulate those guys. And again, Brunson not really known for his defense per se, and certainly sometimes gets a knock of drawing too many fouls or trying to draw too many fouls. I disagree. But it was a moment I'll never forget. It's
big that he got the call, too.
Yeah, he got the call.
Get the blocking.
Got the call, down 3, 30 seconds left. Chucked it, and looked good for a moment, but missed the shot. For a moment, I thought, holy shit, he's about to tie the game. A little out of the range.
You don't make all of them. You don't make all
he got a little too...
airball it.
He didn't airball it, but he chucked it. And it was one of those...
Fresh Prince Carlton Banks.
It wasn't quite that, but it didn't land softly. You know what I mean? It was... just a bit outside.
You're on the other team, you're talking shit at that point.
I was sitting here from the vantage point of the shot, and I was like...
Clanked it. Go sit down, bro. Go sit down.
30 seconds.
We got the charge next time.
You went for the glory shot.
Listen.
No harm, no foul.
No, you get the confidence.
You gotta go for it, man. You gotta go for it.
It was a heave. It was not so much a shot. It was a heave. But
hey, he's young.
Yeah.
Throughout my entire playing career, 2 game winners under my belt.
Buzzer beaters?
One was a buzzer beater.
Wow.
It was like I was in 7th grade. Never a more magical moment.
It's the best. You never forget it. You know what also is the best? Finishing before the hard out. Not
before the hard out, but you're finishing before my
you said 3:39. You said 3:39. Hit the music, Frank. Let's go.
Music until 3:47.
No. By the way, one other super
I've been pretty
chat.
close every time.
Shout out to Josh Jones, who said, shout out to Keyshawn Davis. We're all repping you back home in the 757. Snatch Tank's belt and bring it back home to Norfolk, a.k.a. Norfolk, a.k.a. Norfolk, Virginia. Norfolk. Where's the music? There it is. Hey, by the way, tomorrow on the program, we are going to be joined by Caio Bohalio of the Fighting Nerds Squad. And yes, you can send in your questions Wednesday on the nose. We answer all your questions, so do send them over at arielhelwani.substack.com. And do have another sort of we're in a peace and love mood, my friends, and the boys don't know this back there. We do have another somewhat surprising guest booking for tomorrow's show. Do you want to know who it is?
Yes, please.
I'm quite curious.
Any guesses? This just happened during the show.
Brennan Schaub.
Who's it?
Brennan Schaub.
Nah, it's not a bad shout. No, it's a man who once publicly proclaimed that he would never come on the program. Mohammed Mokayev will be joining us.
He's joining to talk about the Four Nations.
He's talking about how he's
being selected as 135.
The first member of the Four Nations squad joining us tomorrow on the show. So we are in a spot where we are trying to show the world that it's all about peace and love, and again trying to show the world that there are no hard feelings, there are no grudges on this side of the table. You may believe me, you may not, but that's how I feel, and I think it is an important thing, not just as a journalist, but as a human being as well. So I look forward to those conversations and others. I look forward to your questions, and I look forward to the Ariel and Ade show at 5 o'clock on the DAZN Boxing channel. So stay tuned for that. For now, thank you very much, Dricus du Plessis. Thank you, Jared Cannonier. Thank you, George Lockhart. Thanks to them. Back on Wednesday.